locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Yeah, only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
And away we go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen of upstate South Carolina and around the world. The Rob Brown Show is live on a Monday afternoon. Hello to you. And how do you do, beautiful people? It's great to be with you. I am Rob Brown, the pleasure mine. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope that you had a fantastic weekend. Thrilled to be back with you and along for the ride.
An outstanding 3 hours of sports talk, news, and information coming your way, starting right this very second. Of course, before we do, back to the palatial ESPN Upstate Network studios, the great one, the conductor of the Symphony of Sound, Colonel Grudge, the alpha and the omega of sports talk radio, my man Zoe, back at the helm. What's up, big fella? How was your weekend?
It was extremely busy and not a lot of sleep thanks to stupid allergies. So those bags under my eyes, they're real. And I earned them.
I was going to make an old joke there, but I'm not going to because I understand the absolute heck that you can be put through when those allergies turn. But I'm glad you made it in. We had a big weekend, UFC 259. You and I were texting back and forth on Saturday night after that fight as Jan Blachowicz goes out. And I would say, we threw the word, and we're going to talk about this a little later in the show. We threw the word domination around a little bit, but I would argue, though, the first 3 rounds, I thought Adesanya had it in the bag, and we were just waiting for the finish. But the back 2 frames, Jan got Izzy down on the mat and just controlled every aspect of that fight. I got to tell you, it was surprising to some level to see how that fight played out. It was not surprising at all when Jan got his fist raised at the end of the night and was able to hang on to his belt. Heck of a card, though. Heck of a card.
Yeah, including controversy early on.
Yep.
With a disqualification and a belt change because of it. When Piotr Jan decided to kick or knee Thiago Santos while his hand, it was so bad. I mean, we've seen this happen a couple of times, but if I'm in that position and I just got knocked plumb out by DQ, I'm taking the belt. I earned the belt. And by the way, I thought he was winning that bout. And as far as Adesanya goes, I disagree with you a little bit on who was winning going into that. I think it was really tight. And weight, when you get weight, when you're giving up 20 to 30 pounds and you get into those later rounds, when you get into the 4th and 5th round, he knew what to do. The champ knew what to do on Adesanya is just to lean on and put your weight on it. And if you've wrestled before and you've had to wrestle up a weight class, then you understand how that feels when the heavier a guy gets on you. And I liken this to if you're wrestling like 195 and you go up to heavyweight and you're going up against a guy who weighs 30 or 40 pounds more than you, you're faster than him. And Adesanya was faster. You could see he was faster. But you don't want that guy to get on top of you because you just can't do a whole lot. And especially at the end, right at the end of the fight, Israel was going nuts trying to get out of it. He just couldn't. He didn't have anything left. And it really, really comes down to the weight. So hopefully he learned his lesson and stays down where he's dominant. But I'm not so sure he will. I think next time he'll eat a few more cheeseburgers and come up there and give it another shot.
We're going to talk more about the 259 results coming up later on in the show. And, of course, remind you that every Thursday at 2:20, right here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate, Lonzo walks us through Fight Club, your home for MMA and wrestling, all things combat sports in the Upstate is every Thursday at 2:20. But when we have a card that size and results that came out that way, we absolutely have to talk about those on a Monday, so we'll get into that. Obviously, NASCAR went this week, racing out in Vegas. Kyle Larson ends up with a dog. Yes, that Kyle Larson, the one who less than a year ago was suspended from racing at the highest level because of his use of a racial slur while broadcasting live on a virtual race, back in a car, and takes home a checkered flag. out in Vegas. We'll break that down coming up in a little while. The All-Star game got played last night in the ATL. Team LeBron smoked Team Durant, just like Zoe and I told you that they would. They just looked like a better team. We had a couple of players, two from the 76ers, including Joel Embiid, arguably the best big man in the game right now, who were unable to play because of contact with a coronavirus case before the game itself. We'll talk a little bit about that. Spring training in baseball is underway. The Braves of Atlanta got themselves into a slugfest with the Mets. We're going to get into some Major League Baseball in just a little while. Crazy busy day on the show today, Zoe. So let's start this bad boy off. What do you say?
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
It is the lunch breakdown, the three things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworkers, or the wall, whoever you spend your lunch break with. For those of you that have joined us on the stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate or twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show or youtube.com/The Rob Brown Show. For those of you hanging out with us in the stream, you will notice I am not in the Casa de Love today. I am not in the Casa de Love. I am down in the FLA in the Sunshine State in the 850. And thanks to the wonders of technology, I am still able to broadcast to you this week. I've got a couple of weddings that I'm involved with, one this past Saturday, another one this upcoming Saturday. And the management of ESPN Upstate, who I'm so grateful to, have allowed me to go ahead and broadcast remotely from down here in the Florida Panhandle without having to drive back-to-back weeks back to the FLA. I try not to do that too often, but with a couple of weddings, wish congratulations to my very dear friends Lacey and Cole, who got married this Saturday. One of my oldest, nearest, and dearest friends, Dan Corrigan, getting married coming up this weekend. And so I wanted to be here. I'm involved with both of those weddings. Wanted to be here. And they said, look, you got the tech. It's not like we're not working from home anyway. Take it down to the FLA, and you can do the show from there. So I'm very grateful. But for those of you watching the stream, I am not at the Casa de Love. I am back down in the Sunshine State, but we'll still be bringing you the best 3 hours of sports talk and entertainment that we can possibly provide you every day. To the lunch breakdown we go. We start with item number one in the lunch breakdown. This is a huge bit of NBA news. All-Star forward Blake Griffin agreed to a deal with the Brooklyn Nets over the weekend. The six-time All-Star will join for the rest of this season, according to ESPN. That news breaking last night. The Nets are using one of their veteran minimum contract slots to sign Griffin, according to NBA sources. Griffin informed Nets general manager Sean Marks of his decision to join Brooklyn's championship case on Sunday evening, a reunion of sorts with his former LA Clippers teammate DeAndre Jordan. Griffin had interest from most of the NBA's playoff contenders and cleared waivers Sunday night after agreeing to that buyout we talked to you about on Friday. The 31-year-old will play a small ball center alternative off the bench for the Nets. Of course, the Nets now solidified as a championship contender with the addition of James Harden to a roster that includes Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. Now Griffin will give them another small center option to play that 4-5 role. Brooklyn will be in the luxury tax next season. The most they were able to offer Griffin as a free agent was the $5.9 million taxpayer mid-level exception, according to Bobby Marks of ESPN. However, Griffin will earn $29.8 million from Detroit next year and has $255 million in career earnings. So he's not hurting for that cash and has the ability to go ring chase now. Detroit entered a full-fledged rebuild under first-year GM Troy Weaver and decided to move on from Griffin, traded less than a season into a 5-year, $171 million max deal with the Clips, arriving in Detroit in late January 2018. Obviously, the last couple of years, injuries have dramatically altered Griffin's game, eliminating the high-flying rim attacks that marked his all-star career. He now leans heavily on playing three-ball from the outside in and moving on his way in, and his ability to help open up the floor for others, which to me is exactly what the Nets need at this point in time. You've got plenty of scoring on the outside between KD, between Kyrie, between Harden. You've got guys that can move the ball around the three-point line. But even with DeAndre Jordan, you didn't really have anybody that can move the ball from the inside out and help to kind of draw the defense down closer to the goal and open up the rest of the floor. And now you have that in Blake Griffin, a guy who has really worked on his distribution the last couple of years. I'm excited to see what he can do for this squad. Interestingly enough, when James Harden got to Brooktown, when James Harden ended up with KD and Kyrie, the odds for the Brooklyn Nets winning the championship went up. When Blake Griffin joined with this squad, they went up even more. They have gone now from a team that was about plus 375, plus 380 to win the NBA championship. They are now plus 300, the only team with better odds to win the NBA title than the Brooklyn Nets at this point are the Los Angeles Lakers, sitting around plus 250. And every game that AD has had to sit out because of that injury to his Achilles he's been working through, and those lower body injuries he's been racking up over the past 6 or 8 months, every game that AD has sat out, the odds for the Lakers have gotten longer. They at one point were up in the 225 region. They've fallen back to 250. The Nets have bumped up from plus 380 down to around plus 300. Those two teams are working on leveling out. Before the season started, Zoe, I came on the air and said, look, the Lakers are a heavy favorite. I don't see anybody being better than them. I don't see anybody beating them. But with the addition of Harden, with the addition of Griffin, with the ability to open the offense up by playing outside in and inside out now, all of a sudden the Brooklyn Nets look like they might give the LA Lakers a run if the combustible team chemistry on that roster doesn't explode in everybody's face, though.
Let me do that thing that that some guys do when they insert their guy inside of the conversation. Although you've already brought the Lakers into this, LeBron goes everywhere. Oh, he's trying to create a super team. He shouldn't be able to do this. All right, is Brooklyn not a super team? Absolutely. I don't hear the outcry from all those haters about this super team, and still yet they're adding pieces, and still yet I don't think they're going to beat the Lakers as long as Anthony Davis comes back. If he doesn't, that's a totally different story. If Anthony Davis can't come back healthy, then probably Brooklyn is absolutely the favorite. But there's still that chance. There's still in another month, dysfunction may creep its way in, or if it's not already there, and cause major rifts in this thing. Or maybe these guys have one mind and one accord on trying to win a championship. We'll see.
You're a genius, Lonzo. You're a genius. That's exactly what I had written down on the rundown to take to the next part of the conversation. This is a super team. That's not a discussion. That's not a debate. This is a super team. James, Kyrie, KD, Blake Griffin. And Blake Griffin, look, we're not talking about Blake Griffin 6-7 years ago playing for the Clippers, jumping up and stuffing elbows into the rim on a dunk. He's an older Blake Griffin, but the guy can still go and has evolved his game. He's evolved his game to where he doesn't need to be that dominant inside guy now. This is a super team, and you're exactly right, Lonzo. I have not heard the first person complaining about this team building that super team, and yes, it is a problem. Let's go to item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. It happened in Greenville, and for the 6th time in 7 years, South Carolina has won the Southeastern Conference women's basketball tournament. They knock off 16th ranked Georgia 67-62. Aaliyah Boston 27 points, 10 boards to lead the Lady Gamecocks. Only a week ago, they lost at number 2 Texas A&M and had to watch the Aggies cut down the nets in celebration of the regular season crown. Boston, who was named the tournament's MVP with 3 double-double performances, said, quote, "We knew we didn't want to lose," end quote. The Gamecocks were twice the country's number 1 team this season, struggled down the stretch with 3 L's in their last 7 games, which for a lot of programs will be great. For them, very disappointing. But they righted the ship right in the midst of the beginning of the SEC tournament, used big early runs to put away Alabama on Friday. knocked off Tennessee on Saturday to advance. This time, the Gamecocks broke open a tie game with a 9-0 run to close out the third quarter. The Bulldogs closed it to 65-62 on Q Morrison's three-pointer with 14 and some change seconds left. Boston then followed with a pair of foul shots, and South Carolina held on for its 14th straight victory over the Bulldogs. The Gamecock streak includes eliminating the Dogs from 4 of the last 5 SEC tournaments when it's all said and done. We mentioned a second ago, Lee Boston, tournament MVP honors, finished with the third straight tournament double-double and added 4 blocks as well. Henderson with 18 for South Carolina. South Carolina asserted dominance again on the SEC. Boston Cook playing at high levels, and even if South Carolina misses too many layups, which they had some struggles from point-blank range this weekend, they are going to be, without question, a national title contender in a few weeks when the women's tournament gets going. South Carolina won its 6th SEC tournament championships in the last 7 seasons. Its second in a row. Carolina has lost only once in the SEC tournament during that stretch. They are 18-1, good for a 94.7% winning percentage. They improved to 6-0 in SEC championship games, the best record for any program that has played in multiple SEC tournament championship games. They did everything right. Now the Lady Gamecocks await their tournament seeding for the NCAA tournament. That announcement is set for next Monday night at 7 o'clock. So, look, we've talked about dominant athletes. We've talked about dominant teams. Even though this year was probably not as dominant as what last year's run for Dawn Staley's girls would have been, this South Carolina Gamecocks lady basketball team put on a clinic right there at the well this weekend in running roughshod through the rest of the conference.
Yeah, we're seeing the early makings of a dynasty with Dawn Staley. We absolutely are in the line. I mean, like UConn, like Tennessee. I mean, very soon, hopefully, we'll be able to mention South Carolina alongside those schools for a long stretch of championships. And I watched some of it Saturday night, and it's so cool realizing that, you know, that happened just down the road at the well. It looked really good, too. They put on a good show. But Dawn Staley is an excellent coach. And all you jokers up the road who say South Carolina can't win a national championship, you need to look at the Lady Gamecocks.
You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. We'll come back to that in a little while as well. And finally, the ACC and SEC tournament brackets are out. They are out. We are going to get started tomorrow with the first round over in the ACC. We are going to get opened up. I'm actually really excited about this. We've got a couple of big time tournaments, and of course, as soon as I say that, my bracket ends up going out. Let me get that pulled back up. But we know who our double buys are. We know who our first buys are. We are going to get it opened up with Pittsburgh taking on Miami. That one will be at 2 o'clock tomorrow on the ACC net. How about Duke? Duke not even getting a single buy. They're going to be the 10 seed taking on number 15 Boston College at 4:30. We'll wrap up the nightcap tomorrow. Notre Dame, by the way, this Notre Dame team with a huge upset win over the Seminoles of Florida State. The first time that Notre Dame has knocked down a ranked opponent since 2017. They take down a team that was competing to be the number 1 team in the Atlantic Coast Conference in FSU up there in South Bend. They will open as the 11th seed taking on Wake Forest. Second round underway on Wednesday. Syracuse and NC State, the 8-9 team. Then the winner of Pittsburgh and Miami will take on number 5 Clemson at 2:30 on Wednesday. Also on Wednesday, the winner of Duke and BC will take on Louisville. The Notre Dame Wake Forest winner will take on North Carolina. Quarterfinals on Thursday. Virginia will get the winner of Syracuse and NC State from Wednesday, the 8-9 game. Georgia Tech will take on the winner of the Clemson versus Pittsburgh or Miami game in quarterfinal play, 3:30 on Thursday. FSU is the 2 seed. They could have been the 1 seed, but consecutive losses on the road cost them the opportunity to jump over a Virginia team that they had beaten just a couple of weeks ago. FSU will get the winner of the Louisville v. Duke or Boston College game. And Virginia Tech is the 3 seed, checking in at 9 p.m. on Thursday. We'll get the winner of the game between UNC and whoever wins the Notre Dame Wake Forest game. Our semifinals Friday. Our championship is on Saturday. Our ACC tournament champion will be declared on Saturday night. Over in the Southeastern Conference, we have our brackets all set up. Auburn will not be involved as they have self-imposed a postseason ban for this season. So Alabama at 16-2 gets the 1 seed. Arkansas, LSU, Tennessee, and Florida round out the top 5. Ole Miss, Mizzou, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and 10. Georgia, South Carolina is the 11 seed at 4-12. Vanderbilt 3-13 is the 12th seed. 13 is A&M. South Carolina will play their first game coming up on Thursday, game number 5 of the tournament. They will take on Ole Miss. Take on Ole Miss at 9 o'clock on Thursday in game number 5. Winner of that game, South Carolina versus Ole Miss, will take on LSU on Friday at 9 o'clock in game 9. And then the winner of that game will take on the winner of game 8, which is the winner of Arkansas taking on the winner of Georgia and Missouri. I know that's convoluted. You get what I'm saying. It's conference basketball season, son. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We'll read it on the air. Join us on the stream, Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, or search us on YouTube at The Rob Brown Show. Quick break. We are back right after this. I'm Rob. He's Zoe. It's The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ES.
For those of y'all watching the stream, Alonzo is training today. He is not just the Alpha and the Omega of Sports Talk Radio. He is also the arbiter of knowledge. So he'll be training. He'll be checking in and out during the breaks. Drop comments in the chat on whatever platform you're watching. We can read them, talk about them during the breaks off the air. That's why we're doing this. Kind of like it. Kind of dig it. Uh-oh. I've just been informed that Miss Eugenia Duke, the inventor of Duke's Mayo and the true goat of the Rob Brown Show, passed away over the weekend, though.
That's unfortunate, but you know her legacy lives on.
It does, on every ham sandwich across the South. I've been informed that the stream has frozen up a couple of times. If anybody's watching and comments on it, let me know how bad it is, because I really don't know what I can do about it to fix it, but I can certainly try some stuff if it's creating a problem that's making it tough to watch. Got the logo on the hat right in the middle of the head, man. It's got to be off to the side. Okay, now I know. See, I've after a year, I've adopted. I'm now a mountain person, Lonzo. I'm a mountain guy now. I wear flannel hoodies and beanies just regularly. Keegan with the hashtag spoiler over in the chat.
Hey, it's not our fault you didn't watch.
I know. I didn't get to watch it last night. I really didn't.
Because there's something major. The ending of the whole thing is so controversial, and people are making fun of it.
Really?
To the point where I could really go at your AEW loyalty, and now I can't do it because you didn't watch it.
Dang it. Well,
the match itself is excellent, but the ending not so much.
The exploding exploding barbed wire death match?
Yes.
Was it good at least? Like, was it entertaining?
You have 20 seconds. I will just nod.
It was entertaining. I'll take entertaining. I mean, honestly, that's all I was going for. I don't know anything about it. Brian says that ending was bad.
Tweet at the Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. We've got the chat over on the live stream is popping off during the break, talking about the AEW card from last night, which apparently the only AEW stan in the building, have not yet gotten to watch. Poor Lonzo is absolutely boiling over right now because of the fact that he was ready to come in here to just absolutely take the mick out of everything in professional wrestling that I love right now. I'm being told by Keegan in the chat, by Brian in the chat, by Lisa in the chat, and by Zoe on the air that the ending to the card was, and I quote, bad, terrible, not so great, and a dud. Those are the four ways that the ending of that show has been described, Lonzo. And I'm putting everything else I have to do aside today to go back and watch that card.
Yeah, you should. And I will just say, where was the kaboom? There was supposed to be a kaboom. Not a very good Martian. But if I go all out on it, I will have a coughing fit for 35 minutes. So I cannot do that. Rob has lost his headphones.
It was decent. First off, I wasn't expecting Marvin the Martian to come out of nowhere, and it was a pretty good impression, to tell you the truth. I was a little shocked by it.
Well, you need a little more into that, and I know it would be bad if I did it. But anyway, that's all I'm saying. And people on the Facebook chat will agree with me.
All right, we're gonna have to check it out. I'm gonna have to watch it after the show, so we'll have a breakdown. I usually try to watch those over the weekend, but I was so packed up down here in the FLA, I didn't have time to put it in last. Well, I didn't have time, and then also I just wanted to go to bed. So I'll check it out today. When we come back tomorrow, we'll have the full conversation. One other thing that was on TV a lot this weekend, and I'm gonna go non-sports. So texters, go ahead and get your hashtag stick to sports text ready to send in. Lonzo, I have a favor to ask of everyone in America. All right, this favor it goes out to every person in America. I am begging you. I am pleading with you. I implore you. Can we please stop talking about the royal family? Can we stop? Can we stop talking about the royal family? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I'm sorry if Harry and the Queen had a falling out. I'm sorry if poor Harry only had Princess Di's inheritance to work off of. I'm sure those tens of millions of dollars are really making it tough for him to suffer through. I'm sure they have problems just like everybody else in America. But can we stop? I'm flipping channels last night, getting ready for bed, and it's on like 8 out of every 10 channels. Harry says, I don't care. I don't care. I've got people in my life personally known to me who I have far more invested in that have way bigger problems than, the royal family cut off Prince Harry. I don't care. Not at all. We fought a war 300 years ago so that we don't have to give a damn about the king and queen anymore. And the fact I love you, all of my British friends. I know there's a few of them here in the upstate that listen to the show. They're my soccer buddies. I'll watch with them. I know there's at least a couple of people who watch us abroad, right? Coach Lord from the Swamp Rabbits came over from Cardiff in the UK, and a bunch of his fans followed him over here because he's a good dude. And I know that they tune in and listen to the show. I've friended a couple of them on the old Facebook so that they can watch the stream live. If you still willingly live under and acknowledge a queen, a king in your life with authority over you because their dad and mom did it one day, no, that's dumb and I don't like it. Stop. Do better. I rarely, Zoe use this phrase, right? This is America. We should be better than that. But this is America. We should be better than that. Why do we care? Zoe, why do people care about the damn Duke and Duchess of Essex? Why do we care?
Is this Florida doing this to you? Because I didn't come in expecting a nationalist to be on the air, and that's what I'm hearing. America, yeah, all right, yeah, we won that war. What do I care about your monarchy? I don't care. I don't. And the other thing about it, what power do they have? They have nothing. They're just famous for being rich and living in a big house. That's all it is. Yeah.
Yes.
They have no power at all. Really, all they are is the Kardashians of Great Britain. That's all they are.
But somehow more boring.
Well,
somehow more
that.
boring. Right? Like
and not as attractive. You could say that.
I don't know. Harry and Meghan are good-looking people, but then that, like, I just don't care, and I don't get the fascination. Every time there's like it's a royal baby, it's a royal wedding, it's a royal divorce, it's a royal family. Every family has that. What? I don't get it. I don't get it. They have a queen. They have a queen who does nothing, by the way. It's not even a real queen, right? At least if it was like a real queen who was actually running the country, you'd be like, all right, well, I mean, she is the let's be honest, a king is a dictator, a queen is a dictator. At least you could go, it's a dictator who's ruling the country. Good or bad, we can be fascinated by that. Like if she was the prime minister.
Go that far as a king or a queen as a dictator. They're a monarch, and they could rule the land with an even hand, but they don't do that. And the queen is famous for one thing. She just keeps living. Year after year after year. She's like 120 something or something by now.
The queen is more interesting as a case study in health and wellness.
Yes.
And by the way, proof that rich people are capable of being healthy longer, right? You can go down a whole different road of logic and thinking there if you want to. We can do whatever we want. We can have conversations. I am somebody who looks around and appreciates the cultures of the world and says, there are other countries who do some things better than we do. And there's nothing wrong with that. We should be learning to grow and get better. One thing we don't suck at is having a queen. Why would you want that? Why would you want that? I would love to give half of my money to some old lady who sits in a house, does nothing of value, and claim some birthright to be better than I am. Get the hell out of here.
The only queen I have time for is one who sat across from me in these studios, and her name is Charlotte.
Good with that. Martina McBride, the queen of country music. Dolly Parton, the queen of everything. I respect. If Dolly Parton was today named Queen of America, I would accept that. Nothing else. No one else, nothing else. Stop with the king and America. Stop paying attention to it. Just stop paying attention to it. It's dumb and I hate it. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. When we come back to sports, actual sports, real sports, I promise. That was my breakaway. All right? That was my breakaway. When we come back, sports stuff. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. I don't have a queen or a king. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Listen on your phone everywhere on the...
Yes, I know that segment was ridiculous. And I don't care. It was also sincere. It was also sincere.
Hey, man, you had to do that. You absolutely had. It had to be said.
Yes. Can we stop? I didn't even watch the All-Star game. Was more interested in Revolution. I'll tell you this, and I'll let's talk about this when we come back. Actually, should we talk All-Star game? So we have to here. I'll tell you what. Those of you that are in the chat on the stream, I will let you decide what the next segment's going to be. Via comment, you can comment on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're watching right now. It'll pop up and populate on our screen. Those of you who are watching right now, in the next segment, we have the latest Pro Football Focus mock draft is out. We can talk about who they have picked where and why, including a couple of trades, and Carolina go ahead picking a quarterback, but without having to move up. Intrigued by that. Or we can talk about, was the All-Star game worth the investment of some time to watch? Your pick. Vote now in the comments on the stream, and let me know what you want to talk about next. I got them both queued up. You pull the trigger.
$20 seconds.
20 seconds. Oh, I didn't hear a banner, but we're back. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. It's all good. I don't care. I also, in fairness, Lonzo, I also was responding to a tweet, the first tweet I've ever gotten in my career, that said, hashtag don't stick to sports.
Okay.
That was a first. History-making moment, Lonzo.
All right, I apologize for the earlier thing because in the midst of training, I didn't push it. But no one out there knew until you pointed it out, though, other than, why isn't Rob talking? I was going to start jumping up and down. I mean, we do have that. You just wouldn't look at the camera. I saw that you were paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
And
so for those of you who don't, I can't hear the bumper music in and out anymore. And the reason why is because we put these videos up on YouTube. And when we have music that we're allowed to play on the radio, tag a copyright algorithm on YouTube, it just takes the whole video down and there's no way to get it back up. So now, in order to prevent that music from going out over the stream, I can't hear the bumper music. So my cue in and out is those little taglines that you hear. So anyway, all right. So I asked a question, and I asked this on the stream. One more reason for you to join our stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, or search The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. I'm actually letting you guys take some ownership of the show over on the stream. I bring a list of topics, and during the break, I will actually throw out to the Facebook stream and the Twitter stream and the YouTube stream which one of these topics do you want to talk about next, right? Because I've got them all lined up, but you get to help head coach the show if you join us on the stream. I asked the question, which would you rather talk about? The Pro Football Focus mock draft that just came out, which I've been following, and it's been relatively interesting to keep an eye on because of some of the potential trades. And again, I don't know if there's any insider baseball. I don't know how little or how much extra knowledge they have that leads them to the conclusions that they've come to. But they've got the Carolina Panthers not trading up and at the A spot still selecting a quarterback, and a quarterback that's a bit surprising to be available at 8. But we're going to come back to that because I asked over in the stream, would you rather talk about that or would you rather talk about the NBA's All-Star Weekend, what we took away from it, what it meant, et cetera, et cetera. And the stream chat decided to talk a little NBA All-Star Game, or as Keegan called it, the, quote, NBA All-Star Lame, quote, unquote. Keegan said, I love the NBA, but, man, last night, what a waste of time. It's fun seeing the game and everyone scoring, but the slam dunk and the skills challenge are so dumb, quote, unquote. I will agree that the slam dunk contest has decreased in quality the last couple of years, and it's a very simple fix, Zoe. Give some incentive to get the names back in it, right? Get some incentive to get the names back in there. There was a part of me that really wanted to see Zion in the dunk contest. I would love to have seen LeBron in the dunk contest. I would love to have seen Donovan Mitchell in the dunk contest. Give me the superstars in the dunk contest. Give us the names in the dunk contest. But there's no incentive for them to be doing it right now. There's just not enough incentive there to justify it. Skills contest, look, I take it or leave it. I mean, even if the names were in that, all right, cool. Like, who throws the best bounce pass? There's not a lot that compels me in all of that. But the game itself is fun. It was fun. And I'll tell you, I got home last night.
It was fun.
I got home last night and was having a conversation with the Madre, who, doesn't watch NBA ball unless I'm hanging out and have it on. She doesn't watch NBA ball. I got home last night and I put ESPN or whatever it is on the TV, and the highlights come up. And my mom says, that was actually a fun game to watch. It was actually entertaining. It was a fun game to watch. The All-Star Game is great, but they do this every year with the All-Star Game, and people do it with the Pro Bowl, and they do it with all these All-Star games at the pro level. People, Lonzo, they tune in, and they tune in expecting a great basketball game. It's not a basketball game. It's an exhibition. It's those guys getting out there and getting to have a little fun and doing what we do when we all go play Park Y pickup basketball, except with actual talent, unlike me, right? It's just fun. If you're tuning into these games expecting to see good basketball, if you're turning into the Pro Bowl expecting to see good football, you're going to be disappointed. But if you tune in to watch incredibly athletic, incredibly talented, incredibly gifted human beings put on a display of what the human body is capable of when it's at the pinnacle of development, if you tune in to watch two-hand slams and alley-oops and three-point shots from half court to be a game winner, hashtag Dame time, then it's incredibly impressive. And even non-basketball fans recognize that. I just need people, though, to stop tuning into these all-star games and challenges thinking that they're going to get uber competitive sports. It's just for fun. And you're allowed to just have fun with sports, Lonzo. It's a crazy thought to some people.
Yeah, it's a chance for the stars to hang out. And in the case of the NBA, in years past, this is more about the weekend and if you got to go to that weekend because it's a party. And as far as the NFL goes, people get upset about the Pro Bowl, but you know what the Pro Bowl used to be about? going to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And not only going to Hawaii, if you got to go to Hawaii, which I've never been, you got a chance to hang out with some of those players because they're not real serious about the game itself, but you get to hang out with the players. And the NBA seems to be the most accessible out of all of them. And I don't know how well it went this weekend without all of what it normally is with the celebrity game and all that kind of stuff. But that would be an experience to go to an NBA All-Star weekend. And the game would just be like the icing on the cake at the end. Seeing all your favorite players out there together, even if they're not taking it as seriously, they're still doing some amazing dunks, making some shots that you can never make, and enjoy it.
And LeBron talked a little bit about that before LeBron had a little bit of a discussion about that before the game where he said, look, man, it's always been about us and getting together as a group, as a family of NBA players and spending time with each other. And we can't do that this year, right? All these guys were effectively isolated in their hotel rooms all the way up till game time. LeBron said it just feels different this year. And it did. But when they got out to the floor and they were playing that game for fun, it was great. It was great. I don't know what else you're looking for. It's not a great basketball game. It's a fun, goofy exhibition of the most talented basketball players in the world showing what they are physically capable of, having a little fun, not playing defense. I don't see why would you hate on that? I want more of that. I wish there was a postseason NBA All-Star game as well. Give me both. It's fun. Why does everything have to be business all the damn time in sports, man? You're missing out on some great opportunities. Quick break. Let's come back. We'll wrap up hour number one. I'm Rob Lonzo's back at the controls. 844-GSP-ESPN, Texas 71307. Got a couple of texts to read when we come back here in just a minute. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
So it's been a busy weekend for me. Obviously, I was involved in a wedding. I've had to play a little music this weekend. Been out walking around, and I still later on this week am going to get a couple of rounds of golf in with the little brother. I got another weekend and a ton more walking to do next weekend. And the more I do, the more I realize, dude, I just turned a year older. I'm not going to say how old because Zoe will get offended, but I just turned a year older, and everything kind of hurts a little more every single day. The wear and tear on my body has started to cause this pain that just continues to ramp up. That's why we have partnered with our friends at QC Kinetics right there in the Upstate. QC Kinetics offers non-surgical regenerative therapy offered by Dr. Richard Schaefer, MD, and the rest of the licensed medical professionals who will walk you through this non-surgical regenerative therapy that can help you not only feel better faster, but do so naturally. It basically retrains your cells on how to heal your body and utilize the same healing qualities and techniques that your body knows how to do and does from childhood to your old before they start to fall off a little bit. So if you have to stand a lot, pick up heavy boxes, maybe you play a lot of sports, even into your age, and you're starting to slow down, you're suffering from pain. And if you have been told surgery is your only option, you need to call QC Kinetics like yesterday. Go to their website, qckinetics.com, QC Kinetics, QCKINETIX.com, and learn all about these therapies and how they work. Or just give them a call today at 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. Tell them the Rob Brown Show sent you. Let them get you set up with a free consultation to learn how you can feel better, faster, naturally with the regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics right here in the Upstate. Seahawks are releasing Carlos Dunlap. That's big. That dude's got some years left in him. Yeah, 170 to 150 the final score. Dame Lillard shooting a half-court three and sinking it for the dub. How would that, like, if you were watching that for anything other than to just have fun and enjoy the best basketball players in the world doing what they do without the rules and regulations to have to worry about, I don't know. Look at this. Oh, man, dude, I'm dangerously close to looking like I'm getting to a come over. It's not a come over. That's all full, boys. That's just good hair. But man, I need to go get trimmed up later, I guess. Doing this stream has been interesting because for the first time in quite literally a year, I have to actually try to make myself look relatively presentable before I go to work, which is tough to do when you wear joggers and hoodies 90% of the time you're working. I can get used to that if I'm telling you the truth. And if you are not team joggers yet, you are missing out. Joggers have quickly worked their way into being the wardrobe selection of choice. Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I want to go back and look and try to remember exactly what day we got told we were going to start working from home. It was around this time. No, I guess it was a little bit later. It's probably another week or two away. But we are dangerously close to the 1-year anniversary of when we all got sent home to start doing the shows from home. And when we started working from home for the first couple of weeks, I would get up and I would put on clothes as if I was going into the studio. Like I'd throw on jeans and a real shirt and all that. And this is obviously well before we were streaming. And then after about 3 weeks of dressing as if I was going into the studio, I went, wait a minute, you mean I can just sit on my couch in soccer shorts in a hoodie and nobody cares? I'm going to do that.
You know, I hate to dispel things 1 minute, by the way, but here's what it comes down to. He could already wear that to work anyway. He absolutely could. Although Rob gets to have meetings with clients and things like that, I do not have to do that for the most part. I do some, but shorts and T-shirts and things like that have been acceptable wear upstairs for a long period of time. Doesn't mean it will continue to be that way, but it probably will. So the only difference is you're not wearing jeans.
Yeah, I would dress up when I went into work because you never know when you're going to get the call downstairs. Hey, we got the CEO of so and so down here, and he likes your show and wants to meet you. And I'm not trying to walk downstairs in Adidas joggers, flip flops, and a hoodie to meet somebody.
Come back.
Weekday noon to 3. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Cleaning up a couple of text messages that you guys have sent in over the course of the first hour of the radio broadcast. 71307 is the text line. 71307. Start your text with ESPN at ESPN. Rob, let us pause to remember a huge contributor to your show and someone who is also a magnificent culinary hero of the South. This person passed March 6, 1968. Oh, I thought this just happened. I refer to, of course, Miss Eugenia Duke, the inventor of Duke's Mayo and true goat of the show. I ask for a moment of silence so that we can pay our respects. Thank you. I thought that this just happened, but this is the anniversary. I will make sure that I have.
So that means if I wanted to crack, it's acceptable at this point, right?
Yeah. What's the time limit on jokes about dead people? Like 10 years, 20 years, 50 years?
Well, I think it depends on politics for one thing. With politics, it's like an hour later. With regular or famous people, I don't know, maybe. Well, with famous people, I give it a day. With people that you may know, never.
Yeah. At ESPN, I thought when Lonzo said he had a queen sitting across from him in the studio, he was referring to another host. Got him. At ESPN2, remember how serious it was to win the three-point competition? It was a prideful deal back in the Bird Magic Jordan days. Yeah, I think that's the other element of it, right? Like, it's a fun weekend, and the fun of the weekend has kind of taken away from the almost point of pride that some players would take in winning the dunk. I mean, it's still winning the dunk contest is still a big deal, which is why, I mean, was it a year or two ago, we had Dwayne Wade who handed, who was it? He handed out a 9 in the dunk contest on a dunk that was one of the best dunks we've ever seen. And Dwayne Wade threw out a 9 on a dunk that was very clearly a 10, and it cost him, I got to remember who it was. Anyway, it cost that kid the dunk contest that year, and everybody was up in arms about it. I still think there's some level of pride. But, yeah, it used to be a point in time that winning one of those trophies was like a career accomplishment. Keegan says it's hard to be excited for a trophy that has a Taco Bell logo on it. Quick break, 2 hours left. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, W249TL Greenville, W246CV Spartanburg, WFBC FM HD3 Greenville, Radio.com Sports Station.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your...
Will Ospreay has just chimed in on the match from this weekend and said that it was not good, but that to bag on what was an otherwise great match because the ending wasn't what you wanted, he says is unfair. He says 90%. Zoe, yes or no? Will Ospreay says 90% of wrestlers in the game today could not have put on the match that Omega and Moxley put on. Yes or no?
I disagree. They could have. Now, would they have? No, because fighting amongst barbed wire and actually getting punctured, that's just stupid. It really is. You know, we were watching this last night, and my son and I were having a conversation. Would you do this for money? And no, I would not do that for money. So I think there are some wrestlers out there that will say, nope, not me, especially wrestlers who have aspirations to go into movies or TV or something. Those are permanent scars you get from barbed wire. So, but the match itself was good. It really was. The match is one of those where you go, I paid money to watch people do this to themselves. What is wrong with me? That's the type of thing. But the ending was a problem. After you watch it, then watch Moxley. They posted something about him talking in the ring after the match. He kind of fixed it in a way.
Okay.
But not entirely. He did what he does. Yeah. And, you know, he's so gifted on the mic anyway. He kind of turned it in a way that almost made it look like what happened was on purpose.
Right.
But there's no way it was. And whether you like the WWE or not, the production value is always top notch.
Don't tell me, but in my head, I see the barbed wire exploding, and it's like
it's not about that.
Okay,
it's the very ending. Okay, let me just tell you this.
Was it a botch? Like was it a botch?
No. Let me tell you. We got 30 seconds. In 30 minutes, the whole ring is supposed to explode. That's how they bill it. Okay. There's a countdown, and then I'm not saying anything after that.
All right. I'm watching it tonight. It's hard to be excited about a trophy that has a Taco Bell logo on it.
Hey, man. Nachos Bel Grande and stuff. You know, yeah.
I get excited about the Taco Bell logo. It's usually after a couple of shots of Jägermeister.
Brown Lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Text line 71307 at ESPN. It was Aaron Gordon, and I think he gave the Heat player a 10, which led to the win for Derek Jones Jr. I think, I was, during the break, I was going back and looking. Homeofplaymakers.com, Tristan Melton went up. It was April 20th of last year. Yeah, last year that this happened. It was Derek Jones Jr. and Eric Gordon battling it out for the win as they took the contest into OT. Gordon received what many believe to be a disappointing score of 47, cost him the dunk contest, and there was a huge controversy. Dwayne Wade apparently spoke out about that. He was asked why you gave it a 9, and he said, quote, because I felt that dunk deserved a 9. For the record, a 9 is actually not a bad thing. I think that dunk deserved a 9 because he didn't clear him. People are still talking about it months later. As judges, we did our job. We made it interesting and something that people want to keep talking about. It's not your job, Dwayne Wade. Your job is to hand out the correct scores you think are there. But, yeah, so that was a dunk that Gordon jumped over Taco Fall, the 7'2" center for the Boston Celtics. Wade was not the only judge to give Gordon a 9 for that dunk. He also got a 9 from South Carolina's own Chadwick Boseman and Chicago Bulls legend Scottie Pippen, both of whom were judges. The backlash came was because that Derrick Jones Jr. was a teammate for Dwayne Wade, leading others to believe that he was biased and should not have been a judge in the contest. There were NBA players who spoke out saying that Gordon was robbed of the championship, along with Gordon himself, who said he would never compete in another NBA dunk contest, which is disappointing because he was really, really good. They beat out Dwight Howard that year. Pat Connaughton was in that dunk contest as well. And on his final dunk, Jones dumped over Taco Fall and took the ball out of his hands. He was holding the ball up over his head, took the ball out of his hands, but he clipped him on the head on the way by. He went up under the leg on that one, if I recall correctly. It was pretty damn impressive, whether it was good or not. But he clipped him on the head, and so a lot of people said that wasn't. He had earlier in that game, he had dunked over who was it? I think Chance the Rapper was out there, and he dunked over him as well. But yeah, it was a disappointing final score, but still a crazy impression. These guys were basically trying to each dunk over progressively taller guys, and Taco Fall, who can basically dunk without jumping. That's where that came from. But that, I mean, look, that doesn't put a damper on the dunk contest. It makes it more compelling to me, but I also understand why a guy like him would want out. Keegan says, barking dogs and mysterious elbows behind Lonzo. This is getting to be AEW production. All right, are we just going to – they make one mistake, and you guys are going to cancel AEW? I thought you hated cancel culture, Lonzo. Well,
I do, but, you know, I'm already hypercritical, but the fact that other people are saying the same thing means I think everyone in unison for a change. We are all together in how bad that was. And as far as barking dogs goes – I mentioned Cujo to Drew, who I'm training right now. That's whose elbows you're seeing. And then I had to ask, you know who Cujo is, right?
Yeah, from
no, it's not about him.
Oh yeah, true. He's a bit younger than even I.
Yes.
I'm the young gun on the station, and you guys were like, "Hey, let's make Rob Brown feel older."
Yeah, when you reach the point at your job of choice or wherever you're working, where you're training people that are the same age or younger than your children, you're old.
Yeah. All right.
So you're not
that anymore.
But what I'm saying, this is a good thing for you. You're not there yet. Yet.
But I'm standing at the corner looking around it.
And by the way, the all-star judging is so subjective and bias goes into it, but so is judging, period. I mean, we were talking about the Olympics last week. How many times do we have to worry about that German judge or that Russian judge because you know they're going to give the American a bad score or something, and right away you're going to say, oh, well, it's because they're from Germany or they're from Russia. It's so subjective.
Sure, 100%. All right, I want to get this in here real quick. Pro Football Focus has put up their most recent mock draft. It is a collaboration of a lot of the experts there at PFF, and PFF does a really good job. I actually really like Pro Football Focus. They do a good job. So their mock draft, as it shakes up right now, heading into this week, starts with the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Trevor Lawrence. No surprise there. Won a national championship as a true freshman, graded out as the 5th best passer that season, has gotten better since then. They say it feels like there's a little bit of Lawrence fatigue, but they don't believe the Jags will move him down the draft board, especially not for a guy like a Zach Wilson. But here's why Zach Wilson's name is really interesting here, because at the number 2 selection in this year's NFL draft. Pro Football Focus, a lot of people have Zach Wilson going number 2 overall to the New York Football Jets, not PFF. PFF has moved Justin Fields to number 2, heading from The Ohio State University to the JETS Jets. PFF says, quote, Fields would be QB1 in just about every draft class this decade, but unfortunately must share this class with Trevor Lawrence. He has everything you'd want in a prospect, but some still try to build a false narrative that he can't read defenses. It's just not true, end quote. They say with Sam Darnold producing the highest uncatchable pass rate on passes thrown 10 or more yards downfield this season, Justin Fields has the 5th lowest rate on such throws in college football in 2020. So, Pro Football Focus, Lonzo, has Justin Fields ranked ahead of Zach Wilson and going to the New York Jets at number 2. Before I tell you why I brought this up as a full conversation, your reaction to Justin Fields getting a little love out of PFF and going number 2 overall.
All right. Every year there is something that happens with the draft. It's in college football, it's poor mouthing when you talk up the other team and talk how bad your team is. Well, these guys are jockeying for position, and they will put it out there. Well, this guy doesn't do this really well, like you just said. He doesn't read defenses really well, and what they're hoping for is this is their guy, and they're hoping that enough teams bite that guy's still there for them when it's their turn to draft. And it happens every year with players, and I think some of that is going on with Justin Fields, that there's a team that really wants him, and so they're putting out there, well, you know what, there's some things that he does, and then slowly he starts falling down the board, and that team that really wants him thinks they're going to be able to get him where they're already drafting without having to give up picks.
I don't disagree. I think there's some element of that. I also think there might be, and I've thought about this a little bit as well, since we've been talking about a couple of weeks ago when people started grading Zach Wilson and saying, some people have him on the board ahead of Trevor Lawrence. And I'm sure that there is probably some level of truth to that. But I don't wonder if there aren't a handful of teams that are talking up Zach Wilson just to see if they can convince the Jags into passing on Trevor Lawrence, or maybe more realistically, Lonzo, can convince some other teams to take Zach Wilson and let Justin Fields fall down the board a little bit. There's some teams that I could see trading up into the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 realm that are thinking, all right, if we can convince the Jets that Zach Wilson is better and to pass, if we can get Miami to pass on Justin Fields, we can trade up. I don't know that the Atlanta Falcons aren't in that book, right? If Atlanta is sitting there with Justin Fields on the board at number 4, if there's not some interest in the ATL, there's been a lot of smoke coming out of the Falcons franchise that they might be getting ready to bring Matt Ryan, not Ryan's replacement, in for some point down the road. If there are some teams trying to convince others that Justin Fields is overrated, Zach Wilson is underrated, take Zach Wilson and let JF stay on the board, he might fall down a few spots and allow a move to get made. It's gamesmanship. It absolutely is. And this plays into every aspect of the NFL. This is no different. So they've got the Miami Dolphins at number 3, electing to draft Jamar Chase, the wide receiver out of LSU. The Dolphins last year had receivers that posted the 6th lowest passer rating in the league when targeted out wide. They believe that by adding a playmaker like Jamar Chase to the outside, it would help with Tua Tagovailoa. Now, there's the question. Is Tua the guy? Are they going to go with Tua Tagovailoa, leave him as the starting quarterback, and try to draft weapons outside? The fact that there's been so much talk about the Dolphins already looking to move on to their next QB leads me to believe they may think the quarterback is still in play here, but I tend to agree. I think that I don't know if Tua's got it. I thought coming into the year, Tua's a great kid, studies the game, loves to play the game. Question is, does he just have the physical capabilities to be a successful NFL quarterback? He's got to answer that question still by adding a guy like a Jamar Chase on the outside. They would give him the opportunity to answer that question in a way that he didn't really have the tools and the weapons to answer last year. Even though the Dolphins were better, a lot of that credit goes to Patrick Fitzgerald if the Dolphins decide to go with Jamar Chase and pick a wide receiver there, Lonzo, that's great news specifically for the team we're going to talk about next, which is the Carolina Panthers, unless the Atlanta Falcons do decide to draft a QB, because at that point, you're going to take Justin Fields off the board and you will force Zach Wilson, a guy that, I talked with Mark Ryan about this last week. He thinks that Zach Wilson is a mid-first round guy. He thinks the same about Justin Fields. He thinks they're mid-first round guys, and that the Carolina Panthers drafting a QB that's anybody but Trevor Lawrence at 8 would be a stretch. If this happens, I think the Carolina Panthers having to trade up comes into play. And you hate to trade from like 8 to 4, right? It's not that big of a jump, and you got to give up a lot to do it.
I need some clarification.
Yeah.
So Mark Ryan is saying that they should move up or they shouldn't draft a quarterback, because it makes it sound like he's saying they should not draft a quarterback, and that doesn't make sense because they need a quarterback. They don't have one. And I'm going to go back to Miami really quick. I don't think they draft a quarterback this soon after drafting Tua, because for one thing, there's ego involved a little bit in the drafting. And what you're saying is we made a mistake if you pick a quarterback so soon. So I do think that Chase is the way to go for them. Get that guy a really good receiver and see what he can do. And then you'll know if you need to get a quarterback again next year. But I don't get so Mark Ryan is saying a mid-round grade for those guys. Who does he say they should pick then? So they should skip on quarterback at number 8?
He thinks that, well, and again, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'm going based on context. I think that he believes that it's a draft by need at 8 or trade back for a QB, right? But the problem is,
if I recall, he's always best player available.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you go with that, then I get it. But it still comes down to you need someone to be quarterback, and it's not going to be Bridgewater, and it's not going to be any of the guys that was behind Bridgewater. You got to get somebody. If one of those guys are available, to me, that is best player available.
I agree entirely. And he and I've had this. You and I talked about this exact thing last week, because I've said, look, I'm a needs guy at specific positions. If you need a quarterback, you go best available quarterback. You don't go draft a left tackle because you got a really good left tackle. Unless a generational talent at another position falls back and it's just too good of a deal to pass up, you go with what you need to fill in your puzzle, right? You can go, well, this guy over here, linebacker, great linebacker, generational linebacker. We thought he'd be off the board at 1 or 2, and he's sitting there at 8 for Carolina. Great, but you don't need that piece of the puzzle. You've already got that piece filled in on the puzzle. You need the piece of the puzzle that fits you. That's the direction I go. The problem here, while I would love for Carolina to be able to trade back to 15, 16 and still pick up a quarterback, the question is, if you do that, the only quarterbacks that are going to be available if Carolina trades back are going to be Trey Lance of North Dakota State and Mac Jones out of Alabama. I don't hate Mac Jones. I like Mac Jones as a pick. I think there's some potential there, but I think it's a quarterback you have to develop. I think JF, TL16, and Zach Wilson are probably all guys that require the least amount of development.
You know what? You also need to look at what style of offense that you're running presently, and that you plan to run, and which quarterback fits that system, so you don't have to retool. You just stick them in there, and it enhances what you've already got.
Yeah. Again, I don't think you're wrong about that either. So here's what they have going down. They got Atlanta at number 4, taking Kyle Pitts out of Florida. They decide not to go with a quarterback there, which is a realistic thing. I'm not saying Atlanta is going to draft a quarterback. I'm saying if they decided to make a run, then it wouldn't shock me. But they've got him going Kyle Pitts, who a lot of us think could be a game-changing tight end. Questions about his blocking ability, but certainly is a dude that we know can make big-time plays in the red zone. They've got the Philadelphia Eagles taking Mac Jones. And here's why that's interesting with Philly taking Mac Jones. This is probably the first time in any of the mock drafts that Pro Football Focus has put out that I disagree with their prospective picks here. Number 1, if you'll notice, I've now said Mac Jones, Lonzo. I have not said Zach Wilson yet. Zach Wilson's still on the board here. I don't think anybody's taken Mac Jones ahead of Zach Wilson at this point. Even if, and again, to bring it back up in discussion, Mark Ryan made the point that, yeah, Zach Wilson's got these great numbers. Zach Wilson looked like a great deep ball thrower. Who was he throwing those deep balls against last year, right? Mac Jones is out there playing Auburn, playing Florida, playing LSU. Zach Wilson's best team he played, and this is not a slight because they were a very good team, but the best team that Zach Wilson scored off with was who? The Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina. So he says
they're a very good team.
Very good team, sure.
But they're not, I mean, they're not Alabama, they're not the SEC, which is putting guys in the NFL right and left. And I think he's got a great point there. And I think it's a stretch if you take him.
Absolutely. On top of that, let's talk about the team that pulled the trigger here. The team that pulled the trigger, the Eagles. They got Jalen Hurts. They're happy with Jalen Hurts. They got the playmaking ability in Jalen Hurts. Now, he's questionable as a deep ball quarterback, but I don't need him as a great deep ball quarterback. I need him as a playmaker, right? I don't think they go in that direction. That brings the number 7, the Detroit Lions. They've got them taking Devontae Smith out of Alabama, the Heisman Trophy wide receiver. Lions receivers graded out to a 51.7 efficiency rating on throws beyond the line of scrimmage last season, 24th in the league. The same type of throws, Devontae Smith graded out to an 88. So an undersized guy, but they think he goes that direction. That brings us to number 8, your Carolina Panthers. Who do they have and why? Let's take a quick break. When we come back here, we'll get back on the clock. I'll tell you who Carolina takes with the 8th seed according to Pro Football Focus and why I think it'll be a great pick, but why I don't think it's the one that they make. That's coming up next. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo's at the helm. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. You're listening to ESPN Upstate.
Harley Davidson.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
So, I got to tell you guys, last week, it got to be Thursday, got done with work, was ready to get outside a little bit. So, you know what I did? I hopped on the back of my motorcycle, and I took that bad boy, and I went and I rode around downtown Greenville. I went and I rode some of the highways outside of Greenville. I just got out and enjoyed the weather. And, man, when I got done with that ride, I got back around sunset, parked that bad boy, walked inside, and there was just this relief, man. It's the best thing I've ever done to just let everything that is making life stressful disappear, is to hop on the back of 2 wheels and to go out and hit the roads of the upstate. Some of the most beautiful motorcycle riding in the entire country, and I'm very fortunate to have seen a lot of it. We are very fortunate to have it right here in the upstate of South Carolina, and that's why you need to get hooked up with our friends at Harley Davidson of Greenville, because not only are they home of an incredible inventory of brand new 2021 models with all of the new features, options, including new paints that they've never had before, new finishes they've never had before, those cooling seats. So if you're a big boy like me, you get out there in that summer sun, it beats down, keep yourself cool with the cooling seats and those Rockford Fosgate audio systems on the front end of these brand new rides. Or if you're looking for something a little more in your budget, pre-owned bikes. They have the largest inventory of pre-owned bikes in the entire upstate. They will offer you a tremendous value on your trade-in and get you hooked up with one of their pre-owns. And there are some really, really nice ones. As a matter of fact, I'm looking through their pre-owned inventory right now, and it is incredible. And on top of that, they have got not just the largest pre-owned inventory in the upstate, but some incredible deals, including rates starting at 2.99% APR on all new in-stock Harleys. Check out their website at upstateharley.com, upstateharley.com, or go by the shop. It is a beautiful shop. It is clean. It is sleek. They've got all the gear from protective equipment down to the fashion side of things that you need to get right in the road. Jump on the back of a piece of Americana and ride the upstate. UpstateHarley.com. It's Harley Davidson of Greenville.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, powered by The Score. Clips of basketball wrapping up the regular season on Saturday. They do so in style, knocking off Pitt 77-62. They went 11-1 in home games this season, 10-6 in league play. That was their best ACC winning percentage since the 07-08 season. They now get set for the ACC tournament in Greensboro. They're going to be the 5 seed. They'll play their first game coming up on Wednesday afternoon. The South Carolina men's basketball team, they had their season come to an end on Saturday, losing to Kentucky 92-64. They get set for the SEC tournament. They'll play Ole Miss on Thursday.
Brian says,
Jamar
Smith. Okay,
they won the
or
SEC
Jamar Chase,
tournament,
sorry.
knocking off Georgia 67-62. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center
Only in
update,
2021
I'm Matt
does
Pauley.
this quote from Keegan make sense.
South Carolina, Keyshawn here. This is
Also, I've got commercials coming back
Start
to me,
your
by the
day
way.
with
So.
our new show.
Thank you, sir.
So when he says real pants, what does that mean? What are real pants? I'm just curious, because I want to know if I've worn real pants, because I don't believe I have.
You're into you're a sweatpants joggers kind of guy at work,
I have. It used to just be on Saturdays,
right?
But since the building is closed and everybody else is doing it, I might as well be comfortable. But during the summer, especially in this room, going shorts all the way, because I don't like sweaty knees. So more specifically, the back of my knees, I don't like being sweaty. So
the Sweaty Knees would be a great bluegrass band name.
I agree. Would have a dobro and a banjo, though. I guess it would have to. I find the dobro fascinating.
I don't even know what the dobro is.
You don't know what a dobro is, and you're a guitarist. I'd like to see if you could play a dobro. You should look it up.
How do you spell it?
I don't know. Dobro. I don't know.
Dobro guitar.
I bet you've seen it.
It's like a steel guitar.
Yeah, but it's not. It is, but it's not. You know, steel guitars are set up like a piano is,
It's like
or
an
an organ.
banjo acoustic guitar combo. It looks like.
So you're turning it sideways, and you're like playing the top of it.
It's a lap steel guitar with a plugged-in electric sound, which gives it a more sustained tone for playing single notes or chords. In dobro, a lot of your volume comes from your hands and how hard you're hitting the strings. In a lap steel, however, you can just adjust the volume for a lighter or louder sound. So it's a lap steel guitar, basically.
So I figured you had seen one before.
Yeah, I've seen one. I just didn't know a dobro. I didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah. Well, now you do. You're welcome.
I'll see if I can play. So, when you play regular guitar, your hand gets wrapped, obviously, up underneath the neck, and I've learned how to play that way.
Yeah.
On a dobro, you're playing it on top, so your hand is completely the opposite direction. So even if you know your scales and everything, you'd still have to learn a completely new technique because you're typing down. Well, I guess you're typing. Your fingers are operating like a typeboard where you're facing down. So you'd basically have to relearn the fretboard upside down to play.
Unless you're left-handed and you play right-handed.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not either of those things.
Okay. You're welcome, Facebook people. And social media people. This is a learning curve. So I'm guessing if you already play slide on your guitar, it's probably easier to do on a dobro because you're not having to wrap your fingers around and have the.
Yeah.
This you just kind of. It's almost like a DJ mixing.
Yeah.
Sort of.
So I use for I think one song I've played around. I'll use a glass slide to make some cool sounds on some songs in places where I don't have leads. But so we have two guitars in our band, and when our lead singer is playing, he'll play an acoustic on some of the songs as well. So there's songs where Poison's Every Rose Has its Thorn. You need an acoustic guitar in that sound. You can play an electric clean, but it needs an acoustic guitar. So he'll play that, and then we're going, well, we don't need an acoustic and electric playing the same chords on the same spot. And we have our lead playing a lead. So every now and then I'll throw on a glass slide just to kind of give it some texture, but without going into a full lead.
That's cool.
So if I just flip the glass slide over, I could probably play a slide style, on a dobro,
The ups
but I don't know if
and
I can pick
downs,
stuff
the
out.
ins and outs. Real, unfiltered sports talk. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
If you're over on the stream with us today, facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, or on YouTube, search The Rob Brown Show, and you can watch the stream there as well. So talk me something today. I now know what a dobro is. Well, that's not true. I knew what a dobro was. I just know it was called a dobro, which is it's like it's a lap electric guitar. It's like a lap slide guitar, but you can play it electric. If you've seen one, it looks like an acoustic guitar with, instead of a hole cut out, it's got a big steel plate piece on it, which I guess it just acts as like a big pickup, right? It kind of makes the pickup a little more powerful. Anyway, there you go. You learned something new today. All right, let's finish up on this conversation regarding Pro Football Focus's most recent mock draft. So we told you where they're at right now. They've got Jacksonville taking Trevor Lawrence, which, yes, I mean, if there's a definite lock on a pick you wanted to throw some change at, it's going to be like minus 1,200 or something. Probably not even worth the time, but it's a lot. But they have the Jets. A lot of people, most people, myself included, have the Jets going with Zach Wilson out of BYU. Pro Football Focus has the Jets going with Justin Fields at number 2. So and I had the discussion where both of us think that the reason Wilson has been boosted up so much in weeks previous and that Justin Fields has fallen, a little bit of gamesmanship going on. There's a little bit of some teams overplaying Zach Wilson's value, underplaying Justin Fields in a round, or he'll be available. Dolphins go Jamar Chase, wide receiver, LSU. Falcons go Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida. They've got the Bengals at number 5, taking Penei Sewell out of Oregon, the big offensive tackle, the highest-rated tackle in this draft, no doubt about it. Last year, the Bengals allowed a lot of sacks, including Bengals tackle Bobby Hart, who allowed 45 pressures, which was the 5th most in the league. Sewell in college allowed just 8 in all of 2019. Of course, shortened season, take that into consideration. But they go offensive tackle. They got the Eagles taking Mac Jones out of the University of Alabama, basically plugging him into a backup role and giving Jalen Hurts a little bit of competition. I don't see that being the pick. I don't see the Eagles going quarterback. I think they're happy with what they saw towards the end of the year out of Jalen Hurts, so I don't see them going quarterback. And B, if they do go quarterback, as impressive as Mac Jones has been, even if there is gamesmanship surrounding Zach Wilson, I don't see anybody taking Mac Jones over Zach Wilson, though I could be wrong. And that puts the Lions on the clock. Devontae Smith out of Alabama brings us to number 8, the Carolina Panthers. Number 8, Pro Football Focus says that the Panthers at this slot will go with Zach Wilson out of BYU. The Panthers could go with any of the top quarterbacks left on the board there, and I think they're going QB. You don't have to like it, but I think they're going QB. If Zach Wilson is available at number 8, Lonzo, I think that's the pick. And you're going to make the guys like Mark Ryan happy who are going, all right, man, you're going to go reach for a quarterback at 8. A lot of people don't think that Zach Wilson is a reach at 8. I think it's a value pick at number 8, right? However, 2 things. Number 1, Philly's not going QB, and there are 2 or 3 teams I think could reasonably trade back from 4 through 8, Philly included, Detroit included, to pick up some more compensation draft picks down the line. And I think there's a run on quarterbacks early in the opening part of the first round, which means some teams are going to want to jump up ahead of Carolina, knowing Carolina's going QB, which would force Carolina, I think, to trade up to get a QB. Denver could trade ahead of Carolina at number 9 if they don't believe that Trey Lance is the guy and they want either Wilson, Jones, or Fields. Denver might jump ahead or try to jump ahead out of Carolina, which would make Carolina, it would press Carolina to make a move here. There's just too many moving parts here for me to think that Carolina drafts at 8 and gets Zach Wilson. They got to pick one of those 2 things, Lonzo. If they want Zach Wilson, they have to trade up. If they don't want to spend the capital to trade up from 8, then they got to realize they're going to get Lance, so they're going to get Mac Jones out of Alabama. So the question becomes, are you more happy with keeping your draft pieces in place
and saying we think that Jones or Lance could be on Zach Wilson's level long term, or is Zach Wilson such a can't-miss prospect that you're willing to give up some capital to move up? Of course, we're working under the assumption that Deshaun Watson still does not end up in Carolina, which is not off the table as of yet. But I don't think that they're getting Wilson and drafting 8. I think they got to pick one of those two options.
Well, earlier on in the year, and I don't know why it's changed, for a long time, it was when people were talking about Trevor Lawrence and talking about Justin Fields, it was 1A, 1B. And then suddenly Justin Fields dropped off. To me, the only reason you trade up as the Carolina Panthers is to get Justin Fields, who is 1A or 1B, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion. I don't think he did anything to hurt himself that much as far as interceptions thrown, as far as his amount of completions that he's thrown since he's been in college football, all right up there near the top, record-setting or nearly record-setting. I say you trade up for that. If not, you take whoever's available. And here's the other thing. There's going to be a couple free agents out there floating around who are serviceable that if you're not happy with taking a quarterback there, then you go the Mark Ryan method and the method of a lot of people and take best available, whatever it is, maybe offensive line, defensive line, something like that, where you need some help. You go ahead and do that, and you worry about getting your long-term quarterback later on.
So there's a question here the Panthers have to answer to me. Are we in win now mode, or are we happy with another year of rebuilding? If we're in win now mode, if we believe we have the pieces in place, and I do, I think Carolina shifts to a win now mode. If you are in win now mode, you make the move that you have to make in order to get your QB. All right. And there are some serviceable backups that are going to be available through free agency, a couple more on the trade block. There's talk that you might end up with 2 or 3 starters from last year still up to be traded. Drew Lock in Denver might be on the table. There's talk that the Broncos are looking to draft quarterback here, so he might end up available. There are some options, but none of those options are guys that have proven to me that I can bring them into Carolina and they're in win now mode. That does not mean that Justin Fields or Mac Jones or Trey Lance or Zach Wilson are ready to show up in Carolina and win now. But I believe I would rather be developing a young quarterback into win now mode with the talent that I have in Carolina than making a move back, taking somebody else's cast-offs and seeing if I can fix them, which most of the time in the NFL does not work. I want a guy that I think I can plug into that spot and go get dubs today, right now, this very second. And if that is the case, so I'm moving up. I'm taking my 8. I'm putting it into somebody else's hands. I'm jumping into the 5 spot. I'm jumping into the 6 spot. I'm moving up just a couple of picks to ensure myself. And I don't know which one's going to be. Zach Wilson may or may not be on the board at that point. Mac Jones will be. Trey Lance will be. Now we just got to wait to see what happens with Justin Fields, what happens with Zach Wilson after Trevor Lawrence comes off the board at number 1. And if either one of those 2 guys is available, I'm comfortable pulling the trigger. It's not a guarantee that they're going to work out. It's not a guarantee that either one of those guys is going to be the future. But I'm willing to roll the dice, Lonzo, because as far as I'm concerned, Carolina is ready to transition to a win now mode. They've got the pieces in place to try to take that next step. It may still be a year of growing pains, but I'm willing to move up, even if it's for a quarterback you think will be available at 8, right? Even if you trade up to 5, you get jumped by, let's say, the Broncos, and they take Zach Wilson off the board, and, somebody comes up and gets Mac Jones, fine. If it ends up being Trey Lance and you cost yourself a couple of picks when he still would have been available at 8, it is what it is. I would rather give a little away, Lonzo, and guarantee myself that one of those top early round quarterbacks is available than stay at 8, get leapfrogged a couple of times, and get stuck with somebody that I don't believe is a win now quarterback. I am being uber aggressive if I'm the Carolina Panthers coming into this draft.
I don't know. If you can get someone like Sam Darnold, if you could get some of those other guys, and you don't believe that the quarterback class is top heavy and is that good, then I say you don't move up. But I really do believe what you've been saying is going to happen. I think they move up. There are too many other teams that look like that they want a quarterback, and will try to move ahead of them. I just wonder how much they actually have to offer, and what are you willing to give up? Is there a quarterback there other than Deshaun Watson, as we've talked about in the past, who you're willing to give up some of the good pieces that you already have for? And I don't think there is.
844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We'll read them on the air. Got a couple of texts that have come in. I think Mark's point on that is taking the best player regardless of need also keeps other teams from getting that player. And sure, yeah, I mean, if there's a top-tier linebacker that you thought was off the board, Jamar Chase at LSU, right? Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in this class. I don't care how you feel about him not playing this year because of Verona. He's the best wide receiver in the class. If he's available at 8, which he won't be, but let's say he is. Let's say he falls down. There's a QB run. Carolina's there. And you're looking, all right, this guy might be the best wide receiver in the class. And on top of that, if you don't take him, he might fall down the board and end up with Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, with I guess, Jameis Winston in New Orleans, with Matt Ryan, not Ryan in Atlanta if they were to trade back. And you don't want to have to give that up in order to bring a QB that you think is a number 15, 16, 17 pick. And I get that. But what puts you in a better position to win? Bringing in the QB who helps you take the next step, or bringing in a wide receiver into a room that already has wide receivers, just so you're another team that you play at most twice a year doesn't get him. I know which direction I'm going. I'm not worried about what happens with New Orleans, Tampa, and Atlanta. I know what I need to do to take the next step. I know what I need to do to reach the next level. And it's to get a quarterback on board who can help us take that next step. Text is 71307. Start your text with ESPN. Let's take a break. Get back on the clock. My name's Rob. Lonzo back at the helm. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Let the game come to you. Listen no matter where you go. In Anderson, Clemson, Greenville, and Spartanburg. Yes.
All right, I know Lonzo's training, but I'm going to throw him up because I am going to go grab another bottle of water and take a break. BRB.
All right, apparently I didn't know this, but I talk with my hands a lot while training. So, I'm doing a lot of this. So if you are watching, obviously if you hear me, you're watching, duh. So I use my hands a lot, which is, this. Got to do that some. But hopefully I'm training well. We'll find out next week when I'm not here. Or you'll find out, because I won't, because I'll be outside. Although, isn't it funny when you plan a vacation? Every time I plan my spring vacation, I usually plan it around doing outside projects. I'm noticing the weather saying it's going to rain every single day. We have to move those outside. I got inside projects I can work on too. Unfortunately, being a homeowner of a home that's we've had for a while, you have all kinds of honey-do stuff that you can do when you're off on vacation. I know most of you people probably go somewhere, but I just I like to go home. That's just what I like to do because
You travel.
I do.
Out of here.
I do.
You were at the beach like weeks ago.
It wasn't weeks ago. It was last year, and probably
last year was weeks ago.
Well, okay. Technically, you're right. 1 minute.
That's
so
right to be.
Yeah, that's right. But I have 4 weeks of vacation because I've been here a long time. So So technically, I can take a vacation a quarter. And I'm clever, and I end up taking 5 weeks usually. So, but that's because I've been here for now 21 years. So, I hate that they put a cap on vacation, but I guess they have to after a while.
Or I get 52 weeks of vacation here,
or
boys.
You just be getting paid to not work, which would drive me crazy. 20 seconds.
I'm being sincere. A lot of people don't believe me. I'm being very sincere. Like, this is the one job I've had where, like, I wake up excited about getting to work. I've had the jobs where it's like, here we go again. Not this. I get to talk football and get money for it. Let's do that.
I do now.
You're welcome, buddy. It's only because you get to see me every day.
Rob Brown Show back on your radio.
Yes, no, did I talk over announcer guy that time? No?
Brown Show. Yeah. Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
All right, so I'm just going to jump on here, and I'm just going to take all the criticism that I deserve. Because I completely lost track of time where I was, and I'm trying to train. And
I'll say you're training, you're multitasking.
I am showing, the best kind of trainer shows people what not to do. So if they run into that problem, then that's what I'm going with.
First off,
I'm going home now.
First off, no, that would be terrible for all of us. First off, it's a damn good intro we have for the show, Lonzo. I don't think anybody's going to complain about getting to hear it again. Second off, easy to lose track of time when we have so much fun here on the show, if I may say so myself. All right, 844-GSP, ESPN's the number, 844-477-3776 is the number. Text line, 71307, start your text with ESPN. Rob, what is America's infatuation with Trey Lance? I don't get it. The dude has barely played, and when he did, he looked very pedestrian against 1- and 2-star recruits, end quote. I'll tell you the truth, Dexter. I don't get it either. Trey Lance played 17 games at the college level. He looked good but not great in those. And he did it for a program that, with the exception of week 1 in this very weird FCS COVID spring season, has been an absolute dynasty. Now, how much credit does he get for his 17 games of involvement with no else? I mean, it's a quarterback. He's going to get some credit for it. But I'm with you. In fact, if we're talking the QBs that are expected to go early, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, those 5, probably all off the board by 15, if not before. Trey Lance is the one that I don't get. If I'm Carolina and I'm at 8 and Trey Lance is the one guy that's left on the board, Trey Lance is the one guy that is still there. Zoe, I think that would be the point if I'm the Carolina Panthers. I think that would be the point that I go, yeah, that trade back option looks pretty good. Or if there's a Jamar Chase on the line, I go, okay, maybe we do go most overall talented player remaining. Maybe we do go the guy we think that gives us a boost to a room outside of the QB spot. I don't get it. Look, there's a lot of good things about Trey Lance, all right? The dude seems to have, though I don't know that we've necessarily seen it in full effect, a very wide skill set. The dude has a cannon for an arm. There's no doubt about it. He can throw lasers into very tight windows. But I also think of those five, I think he is the most raw. I think he is going to take the most development. I don't know that he's a guy that's going to be ready in week one to play at the NFL level. He lacks experience, right? Not only has he only played 17 games at the college level, and this is not a slight nor a crack, but he did it at the FCS level. We're not talking about 17 games, but, 12 of them were against SEC opponents or ACC opponents. This is FCS ball. His field vision is questionable. I've looked at a few tapes. There are spots where he's throwing magnificent strikes into a guarded wide receiver, but then you zoom the camera out, and he's got a wide receiver running a backside post who's wide open, and he just didn't see him. Or he's looking out, and he's throwing to that backside receiver, and he's not seeing the cover two safety that's rolling up high for help that's there to get a good closing route on the receiver and create a break up or a pick. He doesn't have the field vision. Now, that is a critique that Justin Fields has as well. But nobody's going to doubt that Justin Fields has a better ability in order of reading the field left to right, taking in all his progression. That's another thing. Trey Lance is a guy who has a reputation of knowing primary read is usually going to be more talented than the number one DB he's on, so I'm going to lock in. He does that a lot. And Trey Lance is the guy that has a habit when that number one route is covered up of deciding to run before you want him to. Not even mind that, but he doesn't have the running capability of a Justin Fields. He is slow to get through his progression when he does. He doesn't see them all the time. His thought process is a little slower in the pocket than a Trevor Lawrence's. And even though he has the capability to force the ball in some tight windows, he's not always comfortable doing it. Zoe, I'll tell you the truth, man. I think he's got big play potential. I think he's got big play potential the way Josh Allen does, I think he's got Justin Herbert potential out there. And we saw what Justin Herbert was able to do this year. And Justin Herbert took a lot of the same criticism that Trey Lance has gotten. The difference is Herbert did it against more top-tier talent more consistently and with more time in college. I agree with the texter on this one, Zoe. I don't understand how Trey Lance got himself thrown up into the Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Williams combination. I don't get it. I really don't. 844 GSP ESPN. Quick break. We're coming back. Get back on the clock. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say play ES.
Chelsea up 1-0, the Blues. I'm going to say they're finding some rhythm, but they're finding some rhythm. I like it. 2-0 over United, 1-1 with Southampton, 1-0 winner over Atletico Madrid. That's great. I don't love the 0-0 tie against Man U, but you'll take what you can get. Up 1-0 on Liverpool. If I can find that game on the old YouTube TV. Check in and see what that looks like. My Reds are doing yeah, it's a little frustrating. Oh, it is on. All right, let's see. Can I log in? It's been a weird year in the Premier League this year. And it bummed me out about Chelsea because Chelsea looked really good early. Selfishly, I'm pulling for Christian Pulisic to kind of become the man there. And the struggles have been real. I mean, look, any team that's got to replace managers mid-season, not a great look. Not a great look. All right, so we're at halftime. All right, so I do have a legitimate question. So you may have some input on this. Are Skechers cool now, or are Skechers old man shoes disguising themselves as cool? I can't decide. I just watched the Tony Romo commercial for Skechers, and I can't decide if we've decided that Skechers are cool or if they're like, hey, you remember those white New Balances? They're in shape now, and we call them Skechers.
Skechers have been, are presently, and will forever be for old people.
I was not expecting you to go that direction, to tell you the truth.
I'm Nike all the way, man. I did go through an Adidas phase, but that was thanks to Run DMC, and then I got out of it.
I am currently in an Adidas phase. Look, I'll even show you. I got these, and they're kind of interesting, right? I really like these, but you'll notice they don't tie. And the thing, so they're weird because they're the design that's been coming up where it's like the whole shoe's fabric, so it's not like parts sewn together. It's just one big piece, and the laces don't tie. They're more decoration than anything else. I gotta clean these things off. Anyway, but the shoe is made to squeeze onto your foot, and I kind of dig them. So I'm in an Adidas phase as we speak right now. But that's also because I had somebody, I was out I guess about 2 weeks ago, and a guy came up to me and said, I listen to the show every day. I appreciate what you do. And he's like, I work at the Adidas store here in town, and I've got this pass to the Adidas employee store that you can have. Everything in there is 50% off. So I picked up like these shoes, a pair of the Tifo training joggers, the soccer joggers that they're using, and some other stuff, a beanie and a couple of pairs of gloves and whatnot for when I take the bike out. And it just started me down the Adidas kicking, and I haven't rocked Adidas in I don't even know how many years.
See, my thing is I have wide feet. So Nike, I have found, has more selection for wide feet. If you see that W on it, it's for wide feet.
Have you tried the style I was just talking about, like the shoes that are one big piece of fabric as opposed to like sewn together parts?
No, but I have Velcro shoes as a kid, and that makes me think of those. And I got a lot of blisters because of those kind of shoes.
No, dude, I thought the same thing. I was worried about it. I picked up these because they were on sale plus 50% off, so I got them for like $40. And I really thought I was just going because they're black, and I didn't own a pair of black tennis shoes. And dude, I wear them all the time now. They have grown on me immensely. And
20 seconds.
This is the type of content people come to the stream for.
Well, curious about what everybody else is wearing.
Brian says
He's
the
not
Skechers are
messing
definitely old man
around.
shoes.
Real, unfiltered sports talk on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
All right, wrapping up our numero dos right here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Rob Alonso with you, 844-GSP, ESPN to get on the air. Text us 71307. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show. If you go to at The Rob Brown Show on Twitter, you can also pick up the stream available there on Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate and on YouTube. Tweet Zoe at Lonzo on Word, and tweet everybody at the station at ESPN Upstate. Coming up in the final hour of the show, college basketball, the ACC and SEC men's brackets are out, getting underway tomorrow, and South Carolina, Don Staley and the girls, 6 out of 7 SEC tournament trophies are in Columbia. We'll break down that game against Georgia and the SEC Women's Championship. All that and more coming up around the corner. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. This is the Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate.
Half of my Twitter stream, Lonzo, half of my Twitter stream is just people absolutely bagging on AEW.
It's bad, Rob, and it really is. It's just it was, man. I wish I could talk about it. You notice my wife was one of the people who commented on it.
She sure was.
And this was the only time she's ever watched AEW.
So, all right. So, no spoilers, but top to bottom of the card, give it a grade. You don't have to talk about it. Just top to bottom of the card as a show. If the ending was not a disappointment, let's just say it was like, okay, that was good enough. What's the grade for the whole card?
C+.
Really?
But keep in mind, you know, I'm a little more negative on AEW.
Okay. So I'm going to think it's like B+.
No, I don't think you will.
Wow. That's a bummer.
I will say this. This is a major problem I have with this. This was a showcase pay-per-view for AEW. This was a chance to pull in some WWE guys.
Right.
You got people who were either wrestling fans and casual AEW fans to buy this pay-per-view, or people who were not wrestling fans at all, but because of the barbed wire match, bought this specifically for that.
Yeah.
You had a chance with that audience to keep that audience, and I don't think they did. And all the criticism that you're seeing may cost them some people. The card overall was I mean, there were high points and low points, but remember, you're only as good as your mid-carders and all that kind of stuff. But the ending put such a stain on the entire thing.
Was it just that the explosion wasn't big enough? Like, is that it? Honestly,
you are downplaying it. You have no idea.
So that is it. It's just worse than even I think it's going to be.
Oh, it's so much worse.
Oh, God.
I cannot describe without spoiling.
For an official Rob Brown
Running Captain Charisma to save it.
Yeah. Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the
Prisma in the first break.
This is the Rob Brown Show. Yeah. Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Let's get it going. The third, the final, the best, the money hour. The Rob Brown Show's back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate, 2 minutes after the 2 o'clock hour. How do you do? Upstate, South Carolina. Great to be back with you. I am Rob Brown. The great one, Captain Colonel Grudge, the Alpha and the Omega of Sports Talk Radio. Lonzo, back at the board.
Hey, man, you kind of tried to demote me there.
Yeah, I switched you back. Well, it's because we were talking about
Yeah,
another
yeah.
individual who goes by the nickname Captain during the break, and my brain just did not engage because I'm still dealing with the preemptive trauma
Hey,
of what I've been told.
I'm still a colonel, man. Don't
Colonel Grudge.
Yeah, do not knock me down to general. I mean, because we get those T-shirts.
General's above colonel, right?
No, I mean, don't knock me down to captain.
captain.
Yeah, my bad.
Gotcha.
I was regaling my family with the new moniker this weekend, and I think they dig it.
General Grudge would have been a great nickname because
Yeah,
it's both a title and rank that you accomplish and also your perspective view on most of what I like. Just a general grudge.
Well, here's the problem with that. Well, that's true. That's a natural born contrarian. It has nothing to do with anything other than I like to look at different points of view. But General Grudge sounds too much like General Grievous.
Star Wars reference within a wrestling segment, ladies and gentlemen. What else could you be looking for out of nerds like us? All right, 844 GSP ESPN 844-477-3776. Big discussion we had this morning was, of course, about the college basketball. Well, the big discussion we had last hour was Carolina. Pro Football Focus has them taking at the number 8 spot Zach Wilson out of BYU. Everything aside, let's say Pro Football Focus is right. So let's say that Zach Wilson is available. Let's say Carolina does not have to trade up or back for their QB. Let's say Zach Wilson out of Brigham Young University backslides back to number 8 and is available. If the Panthers get Zach Wilson, at number 8, Lonzo, grade that pick if that's the direction they go in. A, B, C, D, F.
I guess I'm okay with that. I don't know how to. I don't agree with grading so early as far as something like this goes because we don't know. The number 1 pick, the beloved of this area, may end up grading out to be an F. We absolutely do not know. I don't believe that's going to happen, even though I do, you would say it's a grudge against Clemson. I do believe that he'll be a decent quarterback, but I don't think he'll grade out to be an A. So number 1 draft picks for quarterbacks don't generally do that well. I think if Carolina gets a quarterback that is able to get them to the playoffs, well, they've taken a step up compared to what they had this year and last year.
I think any one of those guys would be a step up. Wilson, Trey Lance is my question mark. I even think Mac Jones would be a step up from Teddy Bridgewater at this point.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, just in the youth department and the potential to learn and health-wise.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's potential in all this, and I think there's potential in Trey Lance. Let me be very clear. I'm not going to say I'm a Trey Lance doubter. I'm shocked he's being mentioned alongside Mac Jones and Zach Wilson as a guy who is a top 10 pick. I thought he would be 15 to 20 at the earliest, but I guess we're going to find out. Now, with that being said, let's flip it back over and talk a little bit of college basketball. The Gamecocks of South Carolina on the ladies' side, Dawn Staley and Georgia's Joni Taylor made history Sunday. So did the SEC with the first college conference SEC championship match featuring black head coaches on both sides. It was Dawn Staley's Gamecocks. She's a late run in the third quarter to take control and hold on to beat the 16th ranked Georgia Bulldogs 67-62. That is 6 SEC tournament titles in 7 years for the Gamecocks. Back in the first hour when we brought this up, Lonzo said that he thinks that this is a snapshot of a dynasty in the making. Though I would argue that 6 of 7 conference championships, that's not a dynasty in the making, that's a dynasty made, my man. That this is, even if it is only going to walk away with a national championship to show for it, this is a dynasty in the making. It is very difficult to win March Madness. In fact, I would argue rare is the year where the best team wins the tournament. But the fact that they have dominated the Southeastern Conference, one of the best conferences in college basketball on the women's side, this is not a dynasty in the making, though. This is a dynasty that has been made, and Dawn Staley deserves to be referenced amongst the best coaches in any sport at any level at this point.
All right, so this argument has been made when it comes to Clemson football also. I don't think you're a dynasty until everyone is talking about when they say who is the best in women's college basketball. If South Carolina is one of the top 3 names that's mentioned, then you're there. If not, you're not there yet. Locally and in the SEC, for sure they're there. But I think nationally, you don't have to necessarily win a ton of championships. By the way, I think they won 2. If I recall, they earned 1, and last year they were given.
They would have won last year.
Yeah.
They would have. Over on the men's side, I can't say who would have won. I got some teams I think would have been in there. Dawn Staley's Gamecocks would have won that championship last year if that tournament gets played. So let's say they've got one in 2017. For the sake of discussions, though, I'm going to say I'll give them the 2021 as well.
Okay, so as far as that goes, I think as long as you're mentioned every time people think who is the best, and you're vying every year, and that's what they're doing now. They are vying. They are legitimate. They are a team that that Dawn Staley is coaching them. The South Carolina Gamecocks are going to be in the national championship picture. But I think I don't know, what is it, 5 years or 10 years? What do you think? As far as to be legitimate dynasty.
I would say in today's environment, if you can pull off 5 years of being not just a contender, but there, whether you win or not, 5 years to me is dynastic nowadays. I think if you go longer than 5, it's just adding to the legacy. But 5 is dynastic.
Agreed. And now Dawn Staley is mentioned in the names of some of the most famous women's basketball coaches of all time, and she should be. And I do agree. I think they're at the dynasty, but they could very well be, considered like 3rd or 4th. You want to see them go forward and reach the potential that they seem to have and be the dynasty in women's college basketball. Do they have the chance to do that? And I think they do.
I agree. So Dawn Staley, since she showed up to South Carolina, won the tournament in 2017, was the heavy favorite to win the tournament last year. And I will say this, and this is not a slight. I watch as much of the women's tournament as I do the men's tournament. So not a slight. The women's side, I would say, Lonzo, tends to have the best team win the tournament more than the men's side, right? We always see on the men's side. That's why we love March Madness. Because on the men's side, you can have the tournament favorites get bumped. You can have, it's very rare, but you can have the 16 barely made the tournament knock off the 1 seed, the heavy favorite Virginia. You can have the 2 going. We got the 15-2 upset every year. Anybody trying to tell me that in any given 2-15 matchup that the 2 team wasn't the better team, they just had an off day, right? That's why we love March. The women's side, for the most part, the better teams the cream usually rises to the top. Dawn Staley, NCAA Division I tournament champion 2017. Zoe and I both agree they would have won it last year. That's not a question mark. That's a statement. They would have won it last year. 2-time Final Four appearances, 2015, 2017. I would have added the 3rd last year. 6-time SEC tournament champion. 5-time SEC regular season champion. 2020 Naismith Coach of the Year. WBCA National Coach of the Year. And AP National Coach of the Year, all from last year, plus the WSBWA National Coach of the Year last year. 4-time SEC Coach of the Year. 4-time A10 tournament champion. 3-time A10 regular season champion. 2-time Atlantic 10 Coach of the Year back in 04 and 05. And that's, listen, her playing career, which is incredible, has nothing to do with this aspect of the conversation. Dawn Staley has supplanted herself at the top. And I'm going to say this. South Carolina needs to continue to do everything they can do to keep her in the ranks for as long as they can. Because Zoe, as far as I am concerned, she can be what Pat Summitt was at the prime of Pat Summitt's career at Tennessee. Pat Summitt, what she was doing at UT, Pat Summitt kicked open, shattered, exploded doors. Pat Summitt was taking the Tennessee women's team with some of the great players they had come through there, Candace Parker and the like, was getting them in the Sports Center top 10, was getting them televised in national primetime games when there were other men's games going on at the same time. Dawn Staley is elevating herself to Pat Summitt-like proportions. And it is, for me, Lonzo, it is very special to now be living next door to where Dawn Staley is making the run she's making. And for her to get 6 of the last 7 SEC tournaments and bring those trophies back to Columbia. Gamecocks fans, like I know that y'all are worried about football and you want Shem Beamer to get you up there with Dabo and you want to make sure that your football team is getting back to the heights that you think they deserve to be and you want to see them get back into the national conversation. And I understand all of that. But Lonzo, I'm going to speak very, 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 very closely to South Carolina fans here. If you are not watching, participating in, celebrating what Staley is doing as the head coach of the women's side, the prominence that she is taking this program to, the success that she is repeatedly bringing to your program, if you are a Gamecock fan and you are not diving head first into repping that, talking about it, putting it on your social media, absolutely celebrating what Dawn Staley and the gang are doing there for women's basketball at South Carolina, though, you are missing out because you are in the midst of the building, the creation, the continued success of a dynasty that 10, 15, 20, 25 years from now, as women's sports continue to elevate, as women's basketball continues to thrive and get bigger and better by the year, we are going to talk years down the road, I think, about what Dawn Staley is doing in South Carolina, the way we celebrate what Pat Summitt did at Tennessee. And Zoe, if you're a South Carolina fan not on board with that right now, you are missing out.
If you are a South Carolina fan, there's no way that you're not cheering Dawn Staley on and what she's doing. And even here in the upstate, the opportunity that you've been able to have the last couple of years to be able to see them in the tournament, you know, in downtown Greenville, and how cool that is to be able to go there and support the team that way. And it's awesome being in the midst of a dynasty. And hopefully this run goes a very, very long time, and you can say you were there and you were there from the beginning, because we've had her on these airwaves early on, you know, when the station first started, and you could just hear the excitement when she's talking about the game and her team and what she wanted to do and the things she talked about that she wanted to do and where she wanted the program to go. She's gotten them there, and now they need to stay there, and if possible, get even better.
It has been a pleasure to get to talk about and cover this team so closely, living right next door. As I've said many times, one of the big disappointments to me has been that I've not been able to get to more live sports. I'll tell you right now, if I'm ranking the teams that I want to see in person play in the upstate for my, hopefully, fingers crossed, first regular season, as sports continue to fingers crossed come back. And by the way, last week, I'll bring this up next segment, but Clemson has said that they're planning on full stadiums for football this fall. Other schools are joining suit. The governor of California, right? However you want to take this, one of the most liberal states, the governor of California says that he's planning on fans being in attendance for opening day in baseball. So that's less than 4 weeks away. We're a month away. We're right at a month away from the start of baseball, 5 weeks away, whatever it is. Texas, Jerry Jones wants full stadiums for the Dallas Cowboys. He's got sway in the NFL to make that happen. If I'm power ranking the sports around here that I want to be able to go see live in person for the first time, Clemson football right now has to be number 1. South Carolina women's basketball has got to be number 2 for me to go watch that dynasty play in person. I can't wait. I got to see them last year in the SEC women's tournament in Greenville. Unfortunately, because I had the weddings this weekend, I was unable to go to tournament games this year. I wish I could have. I was chatting with a couple of folks that were at the games who were sending me pictures from the well this past weekend. I wish I could have been there to watch the SEC Women's Championship game. Unfortunately, couldn't make it. Just didn't work out. Going to see them play in Columbia with a packed house, with what Dawn Staley has built there, has got to be number 2 on my power rankings right now, and she continues to show me why. And I love it. I really do. 844 GSP ESPN. Let's talk about that when we come back here in just a second from right now. That big announcement from Clemson last week. Let's talk about it next. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate.
Prisma.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your phone everywhere on the radio.com app. Download the app and make ESPN Upstate a favorite for 24/7 real, unfiltered sports talk.
Your health is the number one priority in your life. That is a statement of fact. Your life.
It's your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update powered by The Score. NASCAR at Las Vegas Motor Speedway on Sunday. Kyle Larson wins a race for the first time since losing his job last year for using a racial slur during an iRacing event. He finishes in front of Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney rounding out the top five. Keselowski won the first stage while Larson won the second stage. Denny Hamlin is in first place in the Cup Series standings. He has a 38-point lead on Brad Keselowski. Kyle Larson moving into third place. Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell in fourth and fifth place, respectively. Up next, they head to Phoenix. The ARCA Series will run on Friday. The Xfinity Series on Saturday, and then the Cup Series.
The only way for me to mute well, no, I guess I could mute it. The only way for me to mute the mic is to actually turn the volume down on the Comrex. But nope, there's no button on StreamYard.
All right, we're still fairly new at this, and all my mistakes are from lack of sleep, and I apologize.
You're not bugging me.
Hopefully, I get rest tonight. And I don't have this problem tomorrow. I'm having the problem of one single cough. So my eyes will close and I will wake up with one cough. Not a coughing fit.
Oh, yes.
Just one cough.
That is the worst.
And then you get ticked off because one cough woke you up. You know, if I'm going to be awakened by a cough, it needs to be a fit. It doesn't need to be one cough. And yes, that one cough is fairly violent, but still, don't wake me up for one cough. And it's like every time my eyes close. So finally, I just got up and went in and turned on the Xbox and started playing a game. And as I'm trying to go to sleep, I made the mistake of playing Fallout 76, and I'm walking through the wilderness, and I hear this noise that I'm familiar with, and I'm like, oh, great, there's the Mothman. And there was the Mothman. So at about 2 a.m., I defeated the Mothman alone, which I didn't think I was able to do. So then I got some adrenaline going, which was a mistake. So then I couldn't go to sleep after that. And then when I finally did, single cough woke me up.
So you're like me. I know superhuman Americans who can wake up in the middle of the night and then just roll over and go back right to sleep.
Usually.
I can't. Like if I wake up, which is I get older, like I'll have that 4:30 in the morning wake up where the old body's like, dude, you have to pee like now. It's not an option. So you get up and go to the bathroom. And I do like I keep the lights out, try like not to fully wake up. And even still, if I wake up, I'm up for an hour and a half before I can fall back to sleep. And it's the worst.
See, same here. And what I do is I try to tell my brain, don't think. I'm literally in my head saying, don't think, so I can just go to the restroom and go back to sleep. Because as soon as one thought of, I'm going to do this today starts, I'm done. Because then I was like, I got to do this today. I got to get this done. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to do, and then my brain will not stop.
I'm the same, which is why I cannot if I wake up, I can't turn on the TV. I can't. So I fall asleep with noise. I have to have noise when I'm falling asleep. So like when I go to bed, it's white noise on the Alexa, play ocean sounds or play whatever. If I turn on the TV, if I start up a video game, it's like, okay, I'll just lull myself back to sleep. No, I end up getting super engaged in whatever it is. It doesn't matter. I can turn on TV at 4:30 in the morning. There's an episode of Bar Rescue, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what his beverage costs are. And then I'm just thinking about it. And the whole don't think work. Does it work for me? Because then I start thinking about the things I shouldn't be thinking about. I know when I wake up, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to be tired tomorrow. It's just not an option anymore.
See, I started to watch TV because after our wrestling discussion last week, the Big Ten Championships was on this week. And I watched nearly all of them. I haven't finished the entire final, so I started to watch that again. It's like, no, I cannot. I got to turn this off. Because I watch college wrestling like a coach, or like someone would watch a football game and go, why didn't he throw to the receiver? I'm shouting out, do this move, do that move, and then I had to turn that off. It's just, hopefully I don't have that problem tonight. I need to find some medication that will stop the cough and actually let me sleep.
I used to fall
20
asleep
seconds.
for sport, like with Sports Center playing, because I'd be like, oh, I'll hear what they're saying and I'll take that knowledge in. Nope, I just end up watching basketball.
Unfiltered sports talk, manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and everywhere on the radio.com app.
Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. All around the world on the radio.com app. Put it on your digital devices. You can listen to us anywhere. By the way, check out the stream as well. Facebook.com/The Rob Brown Show, at ESPN Upstate on Facebook. You can find it on my Twitter feed, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, or on my YouTube channel at The Rob Brown Show. Also want to remind you, and this is kind of cool, if you have the YouTube app on your smartphone, on your smart TV, you can search us on the YouTube app as well on your smart TV. You can actually put the stream up on the television wherever you are and see the bright, shining faces of Rob and Lonzo as we do the show every day from noon to 3 Eastern Standard Time. All right, so let's get into this discussion. Clemson announced last week that they are looking to set their sights on full capacity coming up in the fall. Alabama, earlier in that week, had announced that their plans included having a full stadium for the 2021 football season. Now, here's what I'm keeping an eye on. One of the things, and Alabama has not yet, that I have seen, done this, nor has Clemson. But one of the things that I'm keeping an eye on, it's one thing for a school to say, Lonzo, we're gunning for full capacity in the fall. It's another thing to put the money where the mouth is and start popping off the tickets, right? That's when you'll convince me. I am not convinced that we will have full capacity in the fall. I hope we do. Life has certainly felt more, I hate to use this word, new normal the last few weeks, right? The vaccines are rolling out. I think if we didn't cross the threshold this weekend, I think we have crossed or just about to cross the 10% of the population being vaccinated mark. I think my understanding, I am not a scientist, nor did I stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I am not an epidemiologist, so I have no expertise in this field. But from what I've read, the belief is that we need to get around 70% vaccination for us to accomplish what we truly want to be considered herd immunity, to where we can assume we can start working back towards normal. I'm hoping we hit that mark by the fall. I'm hoping we hit that mark at all, but I'm hoping we hit that mark by the fall. I am cautiously optimistic, Lonzo, that we will have regular feeling football this fall. But for me, I'm not going to jump on. I'm not going to believe it until we hit the point where football departments, athletic departments in colleges are popping off the season tickets, are sending the tickets out, are sending people the full complement of tickets. That is an investment. It costs money to make that happen. It costs money to get the seating right, to have the tickets printed and published, to have them mailed out, etc. Knowing that if something goes wrong, you got to issue those refunds. You got to dig into the accounts that you have built selling these tickets, which means you can't invest that money back into the program, back into the athletic department. Once I start seeing tickets getting sold and sent out, at that point, I'll say, okay, I think it's going to happen. So I tell people, I've told people when they've approached me about this topic the last couple of days, Lonzo, I am cautiously optimistic that come this fall, we'll be able to go see Clemson play, South Carolina play, Furman play, Wofford play in person. But until I see tickets sold, sent out, and recognized, I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic at the best.
I think partially this is a matter of Clemson looking at the trends in the nation right now where mask mandates are being rolled back, like in Texas, and understanding that South Carolina will probably be one of the states that will get rid of the mandate.
I think they
fairly
just did
soon.
that, didn't they? Didn't they do that over the weekend?
I believe so. And so when I heard that, but I didn't get it. I didn't check multiple sources like I normally do. So with the mask mandates being gone and businesses allowed to be at full capacity, Clemson fans are going to go. They are. They're absolutely going to go. They would have went this year if they were able to go. So I think it's a smart move on Clemson's part. They have a loyal fan base. They know their team's going to be good. They're going to be there. They want to get back to tailgating. They want to get back to what is normal on a Saturday morning. And they're going to be there. And I get what you're saying, that you want to see ticket sales out there. But I also believe that fan base is loyal enough that if they went forward with it and sold the tickets, that they'd be okay with hanging on to it till the next season or whatever they decided to do if they couldn't go at full capacity. But they're going to. I mean, so now 2 of the top 3 or 4 teams in college football have said that they're going full capacity in Alabama and Clemson. We'll see what happens up north if Ohio State or one of those bigger name schools decides to do the same thing. And if so, we may end up with full stadiums all over the country.
According to the State magazine, South Carolinians will no longer be required to wear face masks inside state-owned buildings or inside restaurants when not eating or drinking under Governor Henry McMaster's latest COVID-19 order on Friday. The governor's latest announcement follows the steady decline of new virus cases and mass vaccination efforts. Also comes after other states, including Texas, have lifted their own mask mandates over criticism from public health leaders. In the same order, McMaster also asked state agency directors to pull together and submit plans to bring employees back to the office full time. He said, quote, now that the majority of South Carolinians are eligible to receive the vaccine and infections and hospitalizations have dropped significantly, state agency heads may safely bring back the last group of state employees working remotely. According to the state, more than 1 million first and second doses have been given in South Carolina, according to the State Department of Health and Environmental Control. As of this month, more than 700,000 people have gotten their first dose, with more than half of those receiving their second dose as well. On Monday, 2.7 million South Carolinians will be eligible to get the vaccine, including teachers and other frontline workers. the McMaster rolled back wearing mask mandates inside restaurants. He did recommend that people still continue to wear masks inside. So the mask mandate has been partially rolled back in South Carolina. The vaccinations, we are about to hit the 1 million completely vaccinated mark in the next week or two. We will cross over that mark. And considering today, eligibility has rolled to extend a larger number of people. Yeah, again, cautiously optimistic that we will go ahead and move ahead to being able to have full stadiums this upcoming fall season. But obviously, the question is going to be, where are the programs committed? Are the tickets printed, published, sold, sent, shipped, and in people's hands? Have they taken in the money and put them back into the program, or just held them off to the side and kept refunds? Again, I hope we can get there. I really do. I hope we can get there. I hope we can get there safely. I hope we can get there safely and people can go and not have to be concerned, or at least less concerned than they would be today. But again, I don't know. Fingers crossed, though, is all I can say at this point. Hope people keep making smart decisions, the right decisions. Hope people will take the vaccination, get themselves healthy and clean and ready to go. Fingers crossed is all I can say about it.
Well, I believe that has a lot to do with it. I think if you, we have IPTAY members listening right now, they could tell you if they've been approached already about ticket sales and things. And I'm sure they probably have. And they're probably ready to put their money out and get back to see their Tigers play. And hopefully other stadiums in the state follow suit soon, including Williams-Brice and Coastal, Wofford, Furman, all those places. Hopefully soon we'll be able to be at full capacity. I wish Furman could be at full capacity right now while spring football is going on, because that would be awesome, because you could get out there and see football right now.
If there are any folks listening right now, IPTAY members at Clemson, over at South Carolina, season ticket holders, have you guys gotten any word about the season tickets for this year? What have y'all been told by the university? Has IPTAY reached out? Have the folks over in the AD athletic department there at South Carolina, have they reached out to you? Are you getting emails? Are you getting phone calls about renewing, re-upping? Where does that stand? I'm genuinely curious. So if there's anybody listening that's in those fan groups that get first crack at season tickets, what have you been told? You can call in at 844-GSP-ESPN. Let us know, or text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with ESPN and let us know. We're both curious. Let's take a break. We'll come back. One more segment in Twitter trending topics to wrap it all up. I'm Rob Brown, Lonzo at the helm. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate.
What is cool and somewhat shocking is when you're looking at one screen and you turn around and you look back and it's just you up on the screen. So how is everyone doing today? Second week of streaming live. Please tell your friends about this. You know what? If you're not watching now, that's fine. You can watch later, because, with Facebook Live, with YouTube, with all the ways that we're streaming right now, those things are up there for your convenience. So later on tonight, if you heard something, you're like, did Rob really say that? Let me go back and listen to that. Well, you can find it and you can watch and see expressions too, which is always a wonderful thing to see. And you can remark about how much bigger my head gets when it's just me on the single screen. It's very large and long, and yes, can't help it. That's just my head. No Barry Bonds help there either, as far as I know. You never know. You really never know. And it is very cool that Rob is not in South Carolina right now, and he's able to broadcast from Florida. And Rob is back because I can hear him sniffing. So, that's pretty cool too.
Hang on, Afrin break.
That's what it is. I'm going to have to give that stuff a try again, just to see if it'll help.
I can tell you it helps me, but and I have to use it, unfortunately, because I'm otherwise not going to be able to breathe. I don't think it's basically just salt water. It's just a way to get salt water up there. It helps me. The only thing that it does that I know will bother some people is as it clears up the old sinuses, for just 45 seconds, it gives you a little trickle on the back of the nasal passages back through the throat. And so you'll get the salt water back there, and it's just a little bit of a burn. But it clears them up for me. And I'm hoping that in the next week or two, now that it feels like it, hopefully, I think I've been warned, Zoe, of the fact that South Carolina has like a fall spring. Florida does it too. They have a fall spring where you get like a week and a half, 2 weeks of really good weather, and then it gets cold again for another couple of weeks before real spring shows up.
1 minute, by the way, and not always. Sometimes that fall spring it gets that, and boom, it's summer. It's still the cold stuff. Boom, suddenly it's 85 degrees outside. So there's that too. So it just South Carolina keeps you guessing.
Brian wants to know who's going to win the bracket, Zoe. Who's your pick? Front runner.
Which bracket would that be?
Your cartoon bracket.
I can't do that because then if they win, it looks like that I've tried to.
But you do it on the air.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I don't say who I think's going to win. I don't want to do that. Do you have
a winner?
No, dude. We got through like the first.
No. I mean, like in your head, do you have who you have predicted?
Yes, I do. I have it narrowed down to 2.
Okay.
And I will tell you, one's an anime and one is a dark superhero.
Even with your demo, I will be shocked if an anime wins.
In the game on the Rob Brown Show, only on ESPN Upstate.
Chelsea up 2-0 on Everton, 81 minutes played so far. Everton's had a couple of strong counterattacks so far, but unable to crack all the way through. Chelsea has an insurance goal. Back line for Chelsea holding really well for the Blues, so they're in good shape right now with inside of 10 regular minutes left to play. I would guess we're probably going to have 4 to 6 minutes of stoppage time so far. Chelsea has retaken possession and is holding it really well. When they're getting down at the attacking third, they're getting setups. They've only finished a couple, but for a team that has been playing better but not super inspired football lately, very happy with what I'm seeing out of the Blues today. I know 3 of you care about that. At 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Come on there. Text us at 71307. Coming up towards Friday's show, we will give you, obviously, we'll be paying attention to the conference basketball tournaments, the ACC and SEC firing up their conference tournaments over the next couple of days. Those games, it looks like, will take place largely with either no crowds or very minimal crowds in attendance. It's going to be really interesting because, looking over at the ACC, we've had some shakeup in the ACC regular season standings. Looked like FSU was going to be the 1 seed in the SEC tournament, but they fall apart in their last 2 away games. They get thrashed by North Carolina. They turn around, head to South Bend, Indiana. Notre Dame takes them down. So Virginia ends up with the number 1 overall seed. Clemson improves to the 5 seed. They do not get the double bye, but Virginia Tech, FSU get double bye, so they will play on Thursday. Clemson getting fired up on Wednesday is the 5 seed. I got to tell you, I like Clemson as a dark horse in the ACC tournament. I really do. Been playing better basketball heading into the tournament. The top seeds, I'm looking at Virginia, who have played poorly on the road. I'm looking at Va Tech, took some road L's. FSU has fallen apart on the road in the back half of the ACC schedule. I really, really think Clemson's got a very good chance if Brad Brownell's guys can continue to do what they've been doing. I got to tell you, I think Clemson's a solid dark horse pick to win the ACC tournament because, like I said, I'm looking at FSU, I'm looking at Virginia, I'm looking at Virginia Tech. These are teams that are not playing real well outside of their home arenas. Clemson's played relatively well away from home. I like Clemson as a dark horse ACC pick. I really do. And on top of that, the spot in the bracket in the ACC that they got put in is one that I think really helps them out. It really does. It's not a bad bracket setup that they have. Clemson is going to be opening. Clemson's going to be opening down there as the 5 seed and taking on the winner of Pitt and Miami. Those are both teams that Clemson has already beaten really soundly. If they win that game, they take on the 4 seed Georgia Tech in the second round on Thursday. Another very winnable game for the Clemson Tigers. If they get through that, they've got from the top half of that pool NC State, Syracuse, and Virginia, likely going up against the Hoos as the 1 seed in the quarterfinal, or excuse me, the semifinals if they make it that far on Thursday, which I think there's a very good chance they do. Knock off Pittsburgh or Miami should be a win. Knock off Georgia Tech should be a win. Georgia Tech sniped Clemson, remember, early in the year, but Clemson got it back. And then you got to take on a Virginia team that's not played real well outside of home. That's a good bracket matchup. Then coming out of the bottom, it looks like, I don't know. I don't trust Florida State. I thought Florida State was going to be my easy pick out of the bottom half of the bracket to make it out, but they played poorly at home. They got Notre Dame on that side of the bracket. Notre Dame just beat them soundly on the road. They got Duke. Duke picked up some momentum. It kind of got a little shaky in the last week, but Duke's got some momentum. Virginia Tech is no slouch down there. And if any of those teams go up against Clemson, I'd be hard-pressed not to favor the Tigers as a potential. I got to tell you, this bracket has set up very, very well for the Clemson Tigers. They are a dark horse, and I'm not saying that to suck up. I've told you, I got no reason to. I just really like the bracket positioning that they found themselves in coming into the ACC tournament. We will have very in-depth coverage of the ACC and SEC's men's basketball tournaments coming up here. One other question, and this one came in the text a minute ago. I'll ask this question. We'll get Zoe's answer. I'll give you mine, and then we'll head to Twitter trending topics. We got a text a minute ago, Lonzo, talking about Don Staley over there at South Carolina, that said when the next NBA head coaching position comes available, she needs an interview and should be highly considered. That comes in from Joe. I don't hate it. I think my thought, I'm not saying I feel this way, but my thought is she'll probably get a crack at a men's D1 basketball school before she heads to the NBA. But I could see Dawn Staley coaching a men's team in the next 4 or 5 years, Lonzo, if she wants to shatter another glass ceiling on the way up.
All right, a couple of things. If she goes to the NBA, that's one thing. That would be awesome. I think she could do that. I don't think she should go to the WNBA because she's got a better she will disappear. And whether it's popular or not, WNBA, people don't watch it. So you go there, she will be lost in obscurity. You won't hear from her again. But if she stays where she is, she can continue with the legacy. But her going to the NBA, I think that would be awesome. And I think she could do really well if she was able to do that. Because if you're good at teaching the fundamentals of the game, you're good at teaching the fundamentals of the game. And as you talked about earlier, women's basketball, the team aspect is so much greater than it is for men because there's not as many standout athletes as there are on the other side. They're really good players, but it's just when you watch a women's basketball game, you're watching good ball movement, you're watching good shots, you're watching, it's a better game overall as far as the game itself goes. But I think she stays where she is. But I would love her in the NBA. That would be awesome.
844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us 7130736 with ESPN. Join us on the stream at The Rob Brown Show on YouTube and Twitter, Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Quick break. We're back right after this. We talk about what you're talking about. Zoe tells me what's trending on Twitter. I give you 30 to 45 seconds about it. That's how we wrap up the show on The Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
I've somehow managed to misplace my phone in the approximately 2 feet I can reach in every. Oh, there it is. All right, got it. It turns out, guys, it's okay. I found it. I'm just an idiot. It happens. Let's see. What did Brian say? Brian said, Noles cannot play on the road. I'm seeing an early exit in the tourney, unfortunately. Yeah, the Noles are, I really do. I feel bad for Florida State because I think last year's Florida State team was probably the best basketball team that Leonard Hamilton has had in his entire career. Last year's team for FSU was a Final Four team. I don't have any doubt about that. Last year's team for FSU was a Final Four team. I think they would have been in the Final Four, barring catastrophe. And of course, for them, that was the year it didn't get to happen. Look, you're talking what do they have? 3 players drafted in the lottery in the NBA. I mean, 3 lottery pick players is unreal, even for the Kentuckys and the Dukes of the world. 3 lottery players is ridiculous. And FSU had that. I feel bad for them because they are not as good of a team this year. Phenomenal team at home. Phenomenal team when they're playing down in Tallahassee. I mean, they've wiped everybody. Virginia came down a couple of weeks ago as the number 7 team in the country. And FSU cleaned the floor with Virginia. But for whatever reason, man, the Noles were just unable to put it together when they were out there on the road, which is disappointing. And again, it sets up really well for Clemson, right? FSU playing their best basketball is better than Clemson. FSU playing their best basketball is better than everybody in the ACC, better than Carolina, better than Virginia. They've shown that, but for whatever reason, they just can't play away from Tallahassee. I got the commercials in the background, though. Thank you, sir. They just cannot play away from Tallahassee. So it sets up Clemson very well in the ACC tournament. I mean, basically, the only threat to me that I see, the only threat that I think I favor over the Tigers in the ACC tournament would be the Hoos, would be Virginia. And there's 3 other teams that Virginia's got to worry about before they would get to Clemson in the semis. If Clemson was ranked 1 higher or 1 lower and ended up with either FSU or Virginia in the quarters, or the round of 8 or the round of the early round or the second round, I'd be a little bit more concerned about them. But that bracket shaped up really well. Not so much for Florida State. There's probably 4 teams down in that bracket that I think could ultimately jump up and snipe FSU. So Clemson found themselves in a very, very favorable position in the ACC tournament. And look, a win in the ACC tournament. Clemson's looking at a 5 seed in bracketology. I think they're looking at a 5 seed. Clemson wins the ACC tournament. They could bump to a 3, which would be enormous, which would be huge. Keep them away from some of the 2 seeds like the Alabamas that I do not want to see them have to go up against. College basketball, baby. Most wonderful time of the year. Just tournament chaos. Give it all to me.
You know, speaking of brackets, where we had a question earlier on my cartoon brackets, already people upset because their favorite wasn't on the list. And that happens every year. You can never get everyone's favorite of whatever you're doing on the list. There's always something left out. Someone got upset because Johnny Quest was left out.
That's a good one to be upset about, though.
The original or the remake?
The OG, man.
Okay.
Race Bannon, Haji, Bandit.
Look at you with
Dr.
the Johnny
Quest.
Quest knowledge. There you go.
That's all. That was on the classic list for Rob Brown.
Also, someone, where's the cow and chicken? And I completely forgot about cow and chicken.
Cow and chicken was good. I got no. I'd much rather you have Johnny Quest on
We
there.
did have an upset already, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Who?
Dexter's Lab's already out.
Who did lose to?
The Jetsons, I think. I'd have to go back and look, but I think it's some of the older names beat out some of the younger names, because when we have a tie, the text line decides.
Yeah, first text in, right?
Yeah, and there were several ties, and the text line was not favorable for me. That's all I gotta say.
I figured you were going to have some of the classics that we're going to bump some of the newer ones, even though the newer ones are good. Like Dexter's Lab, Jetson's bumping Dexter. I liked Dexter's Lab as a kid. Dexter's Laboratory. I liked it, but the Jetsons scrub in Dexter's Lab does not surprise me.
Yeah, so there's some like that, and it's going to get even worse, especially as you move into the next round. But it'll take us, I don't know, it'll take us another 3 shows to get all the way through the first round.
Yeah.
Then it'll go faster.
I think I would think the older cartoons have a bit of an edge because, the ones like Dexter's Lab, you're going to have the folks in my demographic that love Dexter's Laboratory, but we also have the
Now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right, it is time for Twitter Trending Topics on the Rob Brown Show, where I will give Rob what is trending and he will tell us what he knows about it. And I just got to say, I have to be a little more defined in how I say things so I won't cough. That's what I'm going with, which I've managed to not have a fit on the air today as opposed to last Saturday and last Friday where it was not good. All right, the first thing trending is Andre Drummond.
Andre Drummond is trending. I saw earlier. I didn't spend a lot of time looking at it, but the thought is that if he is bought out by Cleveland, that the Lakers will make a run at him. And look, I've never been like passionately against the super team. All right. Hey man, these guys are athletes. They can play where they want to play. And if they end up forming a super team, it is what it is. But with the news last night that Blake Griffin was signing with the Nets, and now the Lake Show looking at bringing in another borderline all-star to come join LeBron and AD and Kuzma in the game, we're at the point now where we've got 2 teams that can win a championship and 28 teams that are just playing basketball for a few nights to entertain us while we wait for the Lakers and the Nets to get to the finals. I don't hate super teams, Lonzo, but it's like every year the super team gets more superer, and it's even getting to the point where I'm kind of like, all right, guys, I'm about to go off on the NBA needing to have a salary cap, not a luxury tax, a straight up salary cap, because it's going to get to the point where there's 2 teams every year, and every year those 2 teams might shuffle up. But if Andre Drummond joins the Lakers, it's Lakers v Nets, and I would guarantee that's your NBA Finals, and I'm just not a fan, man. I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, the other thing is that Brooklyn is also supposedly wanting Drummond.
Sure.
So if he's going to go for one or the other, wouldn't you rather have him with the Lakers? Because if he goes to Brooklyn,
it's over.
Probably.
Yeah, it's over.
All right. The next thing trending is Scarlet Witch.
Did you watch it yet?
Yes.
Okay. Spoiler free. They did a really good job with that series. They did. It ramped up episode to episode. Every episode it got better. Every episode it got more intense. I thought they did a really good job, Zoe, at taking where Quicksilver, and if you watch the old X-Men movies, you had, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but they had Quicksilver, Wanda's brother, Pietro Maximoff, replaced, and in show, replaced with the actor who played Quicksilver in the X-Men movies from a few years ago, which was like, when he showed up, we're all like, oh my God, what a way to twist that. But they explained his background and where he came from and who he is. Catherine Hahn did a phenomenal job at playing the role of Agatha and becoming the antagonist down the stretch. So I'm just going to say this, man. I am super pumped now about Falcon and Winter Soldier. Scarlet Witch set the bar very high with their final episode of WandaVision. Very high.
Absolutely did. And yeah, you're right. That's why it's trending, because people are still talking about it 3 days
As
later.
they should be.
And the post-credit scenes were pretty good too.
They were phenomenal.
Yeah. And you don't want it to spoil yet, so I won't do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna give y'all probably till Friday. It'll have been off for a week on Friday before we get into talking about it. But man, I expected it to be decent. It was genuinely good. And by the way, tell me while you're watching that final fight scene, well, I guess 2 fights, tell me you didn't feel like you were watching a Marvel movie. It wasn't like, oh, it's a TV show based on. It felt like I was watching a Marvel movie, and I loved it.
Yeah, the production value definitely is on par with the movie. All right, the next thing is trending. You're not going to like it, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. Eddie Kingston is trending.
I don't know why, and I'm not even going to look it up because I know there's some questions going on. Here's what I've garnered based on the context clues of our conversations on and off the air about the AEW card from last night. What I have gathered is that people are upset because we were set up for an exploding barbed wire death match, and when it was time for the barbed wire to explode, they basically set off a couple of sparklers on the side of the ring, and everybody was like, you built up exploding, and you had barely fizzling barbed wire.
Oh, you have no idea how bad it truly is.
You keep saying that, and I'm so not excited about it now. I heard the card and the show was really good, and the fact that they brought out Christian, and you're not even talking about the fact that Christian's with AEW now. By the way, nice job on WWE spending 13 years trying to reunite the Dudley Boys and passing on Edge and Christian. That's it. Mark and Diesel up next. Have a good day, everybody. Back tomorrow for the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Later.
ESPN Upstate.
Thanks for watching on the stream, kids. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Have a good night, kids.
FM HD3 Greenville. Radio.com.